Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's stream of the Dino-Defenders. How are we all doing? It's been a long time. And bear with me, I have a clock to kill. 1 second. There we go. Got rid. That should have done it. Hello, non-fudgeable Tanistrophius. He says, yeet the clock. Hello, Big Shark. Hello, Tyler. Hello, Paolo. Hello, Mikey. Alright, let's get on with this, because I've got stuff to do. Yeah, so, oh my word, catch you guys up on what I've been doing. There's a lot I can't talk about. But it's been pretty much go for me at the moment, and some really truly exciting stuff going on behind the scenes, and it's kind of all, oh wait, this isn't even plugged in, oh lordy loo. And obviously I can't say what it is, but like I'm on the precipice of potentially getting something. It's either I'm going to fall into the precipice or I'm going to be saved. And it's like, I just hope that I can achieve this thing. So I know I can't say what it is, but just wish me luck, guys, because if it happens, it'll be the greatest thing ever. Use this guy as like a model. Wait, why is this not? Oh, there you go. It's finally doing it. Alright, I need a new layer. Yes. Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with what I'm doing. Something I've been doing. I've literally just come out of a conversation on Discord. I'm deep into a conversation about the DPG. Like mistakes on the DPG, or the bull T-Rex and the buck T-Rex. Well, bull and the buck, they're the same thing, but is that the same one from Jurassic Park 3, from the Lost World in Jurassic Park 3? And a conversation about the Rex design overall. And some people didn't seem to appreciate my input. Let's just put it that way. I feel like I come across differently in text than what people seem to think. I did invite them on to the stream to see if they wanted to have the conversation on air about the DPG, but I don't think anyone wanted to come on. I'll keep checking the conversation to see if they do, but where was I raising hell? In the Everything Jurassic Park Discord. I'm catching up on it as well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it later. So we just want to get the basic shape down based on this guy. I swear, actually, did I? Hang on a second. Weird. I thought I had a different layer in this file. Anyway. You guys are talking about D&D instantly in the chat. Harrison says, Jack, are you still thinking of doing that Jurassic Park 4 script trailer with you and your friends for Jurassic June? In all honesty, I just don't really have time, but I would like to. I'd still like to do that. Maybe. It's just when I can do it. I think if I'm honest, this new job I've got, I'm just way too busy, and if I'm honest, what I'm working on is way more important than if I get that video out. That video would pale in comparison if I manage to get achieve what I'm looking for with this certain project. So got the basic shape. Now I can just edit here. Thank you, Big Shark, for the $2 tip. Dragon asks, is this near the end of the 3rd episode? The 3rd episode's out. You mean the 4th episode, right? Not really. It's like maybe just cut the halfway point. But I'm sort of doing bits here, there, and everywhere. For the series, so I've not been doing this episode in chronological order, which is why I did the previous ones on, because I've had to get backgrounds ready for frames that I'm going to be working on later on. And obviously, life has other ideas of what it needs Jack to do, and there's some more pressing matters that come my way, so I answer the call, and Dino-Defenders has to wait, but it will get done. This is the thing, it's going to be, we're in like the proper hard bit of this series, because it's like happening at a time in my life where it's quite difficult to really pin down time. So it's kind of a miracle that I'm even getting like these live streams in when I do to work on stuff, so count your blessings and all that. But I will say this, like I have managed to get some frames done, like it's not all doom and gloom. It's not like I do it all on these streams. I managed to get like a load of frames finished the other day. Hark, a siren. I did manage to get like 5 or 6 frames done the other day when I was waiting for something to render, so it is still being worked on. It's just when you get to, there's a lot of frames in episode 4 where it's like really detailed wide shots of a certain something, or like or there's going to be a lot of animation, but then you get those pockets where it's like a lot of frames can be like a character's face close up and the background's just blurred, so you can just like blur the background, like take something and blur it really easily and then just do the character, and because they're all like block colors, it's quite easy to do those. So those get hashed out really quickly, and they're more for sort of dialogue driven moments. It's actually, funny enough, the spectacle moments that are only on screen for a little bit that take the longest. Harrison said, I think my favourite hybrid in the entire Jurassic franchise is the Compsognathus. I love the design, I think it's creepy, and I have a toy of it. Nice. I swear you've said that before. Hello, Titan of Serpents. When do you expect episode 4 to release? Yeah, when it is done. It says non-fudgeable Tanostrocus. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for Luke, you know, my composer. I mean, he's doing other stuff, but like, just, I know how much he enjoys working on Dino-Defenders, and it's like, he's just waiting in the sidelines for that update. Well, I'd say, like, I'm not too far off the ending. It's just, the problem is there's like 3 or 4 scenes in the middle of the episode that I want to add in, and they're the ones that are going to add like more time onto it. Whatever it takes to get something beautiful. It's tough. It is tough. Okay, I need to quit Discord, because if not, I'm just going to get distracted by this conversation. Hello, Mikey CJ Dean says, I don't mind waiting for episode 4. I understand life can get hectic. It's good you find any time. Well, I mean, geez, I've just since I've started this new job, it's just been insane how much stuff is going on. Not to mention, you know, I get invited by a certain director to go watch a certain something last minute, so it's like, okay, I've got to go down to London for that, and then on top of that, something else happens, and then I've got baby to look after, because a lot of the days, like, I'm looking after the little one, and then at night I'm working, so I'm like constantly doing stuff. Gone are the days where I can put my feet up and just relax. Let's just say that. But I do not resent that. I actually really like that. It's absolutely amazing. Like, I'm never bored. See you later, Big Shark. Thanks for coming and thanks for the tip. Titan of Serpent says, what's your new job? Just Google, or actually I could put a link in the chat actually for you. There you go. I believe what I'm doing gets mentioned in that. Yeah, it's under the Chronicles Plans section. Harrison says, "Oh, Ridley Scott invited you to watch Alien Awakening, Lucky." Oh God, imagine. Oh, that would have been so good. Alien Awakening, though, I don't like that title. I hope everyone's having like a good Jurassic June. There's I know there's been a lot going on Jurassic related. There's been a lot of Jurassic World Evolution 2 news come out, which, if I'm honest, I'm a little bit nonplussed over, if I'm honest. Just because, I don't know, they'd have to show me something first person in the game to make me really go, okay, I'm interested. I'm kind of over park builders, and it just kind of looks like it's more of that, which is fine for, you know, for people who like park builders and that. It looks exciting. But I just want something with boots on the ground in a Jurassic game. It looks like the same game, says Harrison. Yeah. What are we doing now? Tyler says, "Hey Jack, you guys need a product designer for Chronicle. Shoot your, well, you've got. Do you have my email? Just shoot your stuff over, examples of your work and stuff, and then I'll see if it's something we can consider. Obviously, I can make no promises." Or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I think there's a link to my Instagram on my YouTube page. That's probably your best bet, because I get emails all the time, so you don't want to get lost in the old email chains. Okay, and now we need to open up characters and grab the gun that Jess is holding on to. Right, here we go. Oh, I wish I could show you guys what I'm working on, for God's sake. Maybe I'll finish this up and then, oh God, what have I done? And then work on something I can do that you guys can see. So then it's not as boring. It's just I literally loaded up the computer just before the stream because if I'm honest, I almost forgot that I was meant to be streaming. And I was like, oh God, what can I was like, what can I do? Where am I up to with all these frames? And then I thought, oh, I've got this one to do. And then it's a spoiler frame, so I thought I'll just throw up the spoiler thing. But whenever we do these spoiler frames, as I've talked about in the past, it's like it's difficult to even come up with things to talk about. Dragon says, what's your opinion on pineapple pizza? I'll eat it. That's my opinion on pineapple pizza. I'll eat it. It's good enough to eat. Let's put it that way. Is it the tastiest pizza, in my opinion? No. Is it tasty? Yes. Oh, now I've made the gun look really small. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. If anything, maybe I needed to make the gun bigger. Make the gun bigger. Titan of services, I just like plain pizza. Yeah, I like 4 cheeses, 4 cheese pizza. It's one from a shop you can get here in the UK. It's just a cheap one, but my God, does it taste good. There's also a place where I live called Brick, so shout out to that. I'm not sponsored, but if you'd like to sponsor me, Brick, Jesus Christ, I love your pizzas. And they do delicious pizzas, absolutely amazing pizzas. Hello, Siaka. Wait, I got that wrong again, didn't I? Siaka. I don't know, every bloody week. I always forget how to pronounce it. That's good. Oh, I got it right. Okay, yes. Oh, good. I did remember. Give yourself props, Jack. My God. How are you anyway this evening? You okay? Alright, let's have a look. What we need to do now is... I swear I had Wesley done already. Maybe I use this Wesley instead. Yeah. Yeah, I'm confused because I know you guys don't know this, but I swear I've done Wesley in this frame already. For some reason, he's not here. Unless... No. No, I don't know. Hello, Krask. How are you doing? Howdy, everyone. Hope painting is going good. Looks interesting. Well, behind the blurry facade. Hi, pal. By facade, I mean it's like barely blurry. Ian asks, have you ever played any zoo theme park simulator games aside from the ones associated with Jurassic franchise? Yeah, I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 is like in my top 5 favourite games of all time. Maybe even number 1. Loved that game. Played the first 3 Roller Coaster Tycoons. The third one not so much, but the second one, the first one a lot, but the second one was like I lived in that game for a long time. I played The Sims 1 when that first came out a lot. What other ones? Oh, I can't remember now. There's quite a few I've played like that. Siaka says, in fact, these past few weeks of Jurassic World content have been like a dopamine rush. And Harrison says, yeah, it's been amazing. You have no idea, man. You have no idea. The things I've seen. It's been fun for all Jurassic fans out there, I have to say. It's been really good watching like all the stuff come out and everyone talk about all this stuff. It's been a good Jurassic June. Next year's Jurassic June is going to be like... I can't even begin to describe how insane that's going to be. Jurassic Park 6? I mean, come on. Hello, Lewis. How are we doing? Lewis says I just woke up, Jack. I'm great, how about you? All good, man. All good. Hey Lewis, are you busy right now? Are you busy or are you free for the next 3 hours? or so. Hello, Katie. He said, I'm just listening. It's 4 a.m. here, but hi all. 4 a.m. My God, go to sleep. What are you doing? Mikey says, I played Sims and building houses and sets from TV shows and films. See, that's cool. I always used to just build my own family house and then embellish it with loads of stuff that I wish we had. Lewis says, I'm not busy right now, just trying to wake up. Ah, Matthew says, spoilers. Hello, Matt. Long time no see. Lewis, if you want, if you jump on Discord and want to chat, I can invite you in and we can chat. If you want to join me on stream, I'm inviting you on, Lewis. I want a fresh voice around these parts. Alright, I'll jump on Discord now. Turn this music off. Get out of it. Get out of it, music. Get out of it. Oh my God, I just got an update on something. Oh, jeez Louise. Quick telegram. The frick? Just organising this. Desktop audio up. Ian Nipper asks, thinking about seeing Fast 9 for the Dominion sneak peek, or are you trying to avoid spoilers? I'm trying to avoid spoilers on the sneak peek, but obviously it's almost impossible to avoid leaks on social media these days because no one can keep it in their pants. I don't blame them. They're like gagging for it, like but it's quite hard to spoil for me personally, considering what I know and what I've seen. Oh God. I say it's virtually impossible. It is impossible. Okay, save these. Ah, he's ready. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, you right?
I'm trying to wake up right now.
I'm sorry, man. Maybe this will wake you up. How you been?
No.
You okay?
Yeah. I think the connection is not good so far, but okay, I'm good.
Yeah, you're coming through all right on my end. As whenever you talk, you're coming through okay.
Okay.
Yeah. What time is it there for you?
5:45. 45 minutes.
5:45. Oh my god, dude, go back to bed. Maybe this was a mistake. I thought you were going to say it was like 8 a.m. or something, or 9.
No.
What are you doing up at this hour?
I just woke up to go to the bathroom. I gotta go, so I'm welcome. But yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on it, man.
Yeah.
If you honestly, like, no pressure. If you want to go, like, just go. Like, I don't want to keep you if you're tired.
This talk will be fun, so I can't wait to start it.
Yeah. So how's your Jurassic June going?
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk more, but the Jurassic World Dominion clip make me so hyped, and the others merchandise or some kind of advanced art make me so happy. So it's great. Best Jurassic June ever.
Nice.
How about yours?
Likewise. Just to say likewise. I would say, I mean, the release year of Fallen Kingdom it was hard to top, I think, because that Jurassic June, obviously we got a new movie, and for me personally there was just so much going on that was really exciting around that time. I think we got Jurassic World Evolution as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that came out in June though, or if it came out earlier.
June 11 or 12, I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, we got a game then, and that. So I think this year's Jurassic June, for me personally, I don't know. No, maybe it has actually. Yeah, maybe it is the best one. There's certain things. Yeah, okay. Don't need to say anything else.
Okay.
But yeah, but next Jurassic June, I mean, geez, that's gonna be
so hype.
That's gonna be the big one.
Yeah, and can't imagine how big it is.
Pretty big.
That doesn't make sense, like Jack said in the Jurassic World.
What did you mean?
Jack, like Jack said in the Jurassic World, that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. What, the Jurassic? I'm not understanding what you mean.
I'm sorry. Just joking. Jack Mitchell said in the how big is this island to the answer great.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I'm caught up to speed. I was like, wait, what did I say? What's going on? Yeah, I get what you're saying. Doesn't make sense. It's bigger. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm speaker.
Yeah, I thought I'd want to bring someone on, and you came along. And I was like, perfect to talk to, because obviously I'm working on spoiler stuff, and that's not exactly necessarily fun
perfect
for
timing.
everyone. Yeah, not fun for everyone to just see a blurred screen for a while. So if there's another voice on the call. And this was kind of last minute. Like I said, I almost forgot that I was meant to be streaming tonight. But yeah, so is there any gleaming information from the Jurassic-ness that you've been discussing recently? Anything of interest?
Mm,
So you out of everyone always seems to have some sort of interesting discussion on the go. Not to put too much pressure on you at 5 in the morning.
I try to make my brain fresh up. Maybe you don't like this topic, but Camp Cretaceous season 4 maybe.
Okay. Oh, well, because Colin announced it on Twitter.
Yes. And everyone is hyped because it's official confirmation.
Yes.
So far.
I had a conversation with Colin a couple of days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was this was before he said about season 4 on Twitter. So he told me a lot. So I was like, okay. I wasn't expecting it. But when he said that, I was like, okay, so it is confirmed. And then he goes on Twitter that I think it might have even been that night, and then says it. And I'm like, okay, now the fans know. So it's all good. The cat's out of the bag. Yeah.
spell me. I'm waiting on the DMs in the Instagram.
No, I'm not gonna spill it. I'm not gonna spill it. Just that I'll say this: like, obviously, my thoughts on Camp Cretaceous aside, I think fans are gonna go crazy for what's coming.
Okay, so I can't wait to see the truth about the Isla Sorna fans speculate so far.
Mm.
Because the Evolution Square, she mentioned that the way the kids go is the Isla Sorna, the mainland. And I agreed with her.
Are you talking about the broken compass idea?
Yes.
Hmm. See, what I can say is, like, I don't know that. Like, I have no idea whether that plays into it or not. Like, I don't know that information. I know other specific information, which is what I can't talk about. But like, whether that broken compass plays a role, I have no idea. So, it was a good note because I missed that completely on my viewing of season 3. I mean, I knew they had the compass because the compies took it and all that sort of stuff, but I completely missed the line where they said it was broken and all that. I just was like, okay.
Yes.
I was just sitting there more like, why don't these kids know where the sun sets and where it rises? It's like that's your natural compass right there.
And yeah, it was so confident.
Yeah. But that's things aside. Problems with CC aside. That's funny because I was talking. The person you just mentioned who made the YouTube video, that's the lady, right? The girl. I forget her name.
Yes.
Because she made a video about why E750 is a problem.
No, that's Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
That's Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Yeah, I thought you meant like a YouTuber. That's who I thought you were referencing for a second then.
I think I said the Atlab.
Atlab. Or Alt Lab.
Yeah, but one of the interesting is that Junior Novelization of Camp Cretaceous Season 3 has no episode 9 and 10. Only end at the episode 8.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because I guess that means episode 9 and 10 could be part of the season 4 originally.
Maybe, yeah.
That's very interesting.
I'm just trying to remember how episode 9 starts. Like where episode 8 ends. Does it end on a cliffhanger? Or like how does episode 8 end again?
I read some part. Attention, came a voice over a loudspeaker. You're on the boat, return to the dock, and cut the engine immediately. Who are these guys? There is end.
That's how it ends. Yeah, that's a good cliffhanger. Yeah, that could have been the end of the season then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some people complain that season 3 has to be end at the episode 8.
Yeah, I wonder why then. It does seem to appear that they added 2 episodes on from season 4 onto that. Interesting.
Maybe it's just some kind of more hint about Dominion. I know you saw the Dominion, so you know the truth, but we don't know about the
I didn't see anything, Lewis. Shh. I'm just in the dark like everyone else. Evolution Square, by the way, is the YouTuber I thought you were referencing when you said that, because she brings up the broken compass a lot.
I'm very surprised the scientific accurate.
She also brings up a good point about how, like, whenever the show gets ridiculous, that's when you'll hear people go, but it's a kid's show. And it's like they use that as their line to, to talk around when it gets ridiculous.
Yes.
And then it's like, well...
And some kind of errors, continuity error is...
Yeah, it's a kid's show. It's a kid's show. And then you're like, is it hard canon? Well, yeah. It's like, okay. Well, then now I'm getting... I don't know what to think. Like, should I take it seriously as a story in the canon, or should I just not take it seriously? Because my problem is with the show is it doesn't... I don't know how to take it, because in one second it's like taking itself seriously and feels like it should be in the Jurassic universe, especially when you get like stories like Darius and his dad, and like even things like the Scorpius Rex attack on their base, that sort of thing. Whereas like feels super like, whoa, this is intense.
Yeah,
even on like a deep level with like his dad dying of cancer and all that sort of stuff. But then you get Ben riding on an Ankylosaurus and jumping from an explosion, putting hand sanitizer on at the same exact time, and you're like, okay, well now like what? This just logic breaking. It makes no sense. Like, sure, the films do a similar kind of thing. They have their moments, like you have Malcolm and Ludlow discussing, breaking the NDA, and they're having the serious conversation, all this sort of stuff, and then you cut to Kelly gymnastic kicking a raptor through a window. But as I've said, but like when you have to go into the nuances of the stuff in the movies, because like the raptor kick is ridiculous when you compare those two scenes. But the thing is, the raptor kick isn't ridiculous if you change the editing. In editing, it can seem less ridiculous and still work. So then it's an editing problem. It's not necessarily an idea problem. I don't see how there's anything like an editing problem or anything like that when it comes to Ben riding an Ankylosaurus. Like, there's no way you can edit round. I guess you could just edit that out, but it's one of those things.
Yeah, when I first saw that scene, I thought, holy moly, what did I see now?
You saw a kid show. Don't worry about it. You just saw a kid show. It's just a kid show. Don't worry about it. That happened in the universe of Jurassic because it's animated.
And they break up the record of Eric Kobe 8 weeks on the Isla Sorna.
Oh my god! See, this is the thing. Like, I think I said this on another like the previous stream, but like I made a video on this channel called "How Crazy Can Jurassic Park Get?" And it was meant to look at like where try and find the line between what works in the universe of the movies and what doesn't. And I end that video on saying what I think is the craziest thing that has ever happened. And I said it was a kid staying on the island for like 8 weeks or whatever. And
but it's now, show, right?
Well, no, that's Jurassic Park 3. That's the movie. Now I look back at Jurassic Park 3 with a fondness of how they handled a kid being lost on the island, because I think I overlooked, and I think I mentioned this as I said on a previous stream, like I overlooked the line from Eric that he said, "I've been alone in a water truck for 8 weeks." Yeah. It's like, okay, that makes it seem like he's been doing practically nothing for 8 weeks. And okay, that's way more believable. I don't know why I really overlooked that line. It might have been just my JP3 hatred blinding me to it. But it's like the whole been alone in a water truck for 8 weeks, and you get the visual representation of like, you see all the stuff that he's collected and he's harbored in there. So it's like you can very easily imagine that he quickly gathered all that stuff from the InGen Embryotics Administration or around there, looted the trucks and all that sort of stuff, and then has just literally been hiding in that water truck for however long. So I overlooked it. Now Camp Cretaceous just destroyed it. We're going to 6 months.
What I want to say this. I really love Camp Cretaceous, but what doesn't make really sense is Scorpius Rex escaped the cube on January 2016, but for 5 months they never met Scorpius on the island. Just in June, there's the one crazy hybrid dinosaur. They running out, and we have to go now. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and then they reveal a second one that's fully grown, and you're like, well, how long has this one been running around, and when did it get fully grown, and how? So like, it's convenient that only when they realise that there's this hybrid dinosaur that they decide, okay, we need to get off this island, or not even that, because they decide to try and get off before. But what I mean is like that's when they start to notice Well, that's when they even just run into it. It's like, what's it been doing for like 4 months, like, or however long it is since it's been been created. There's a lot of great ideas in that show, but there's also a lot that could have been like sort of ironed out, a lot of creases that could have been ironed, and then the show could have been taken more seriously by older fans while still retaining the aim towards the demographic, which is kids. You know, that's my 2 cents on it all. I'm just like, you know, there's kid shows I respect and I can take seriously while also having fun with them. Like I always, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a great example. That's like a kid show. It's silly, but it takes itself seriously, but it doesn't seem to. I guess it's a fault because it's not like trying to imitate a film universe like Camp Cretaceous is. But at the same time, that's kind of what I was hoping from Camp Cretaceous, considering it was meant to be considered hard canon. But but it's a kids show, so just forget about it. Well, that's it. No, but that is the case. It's like, it's a kid show. I can just forget about it really easily, but it just becomes awkward when, you know, you talk about canon and then someone complains about something happening in the movies, but they'll accept it in Camp Cretaceous, and it's like, well, then what's the standard here? Because if you accept the silliness in Camp Cretaceous because it's a kids show, why are you not accepting it in the movies but you're considering it all hard canon? Like, I don't get it. I don't get a lot of I guess it's my own fault, because it's like I'm trying to work out what the consistent line is for on fan opinions, like what's the consensus, when there is no consensus, because everyone has their own little opinion on something. You know?
Yes. And this is my point of view, but I think we don't take every single details as a canon of the Camp Cretaceous, just like other soft canons such as Jurassic the game. We know that happened in the universe, but the detail could be different. For example, the Camp Cretaceous show the visitor center stair has collapsed, just like Jurassic the game, but we know that wouldn't happen in the Jurassic World. But the detail is wrong, and the door of the visitor center, side door, is also wrong. But Camp Cretaceous is hard canon so far, and we can't take every single detail of the Camp Cretaceous. Just, we know kids left behind and they live in this island 6 months. That's it. I guess that's my point of view.
Yeah.
Also, it's same like the other sub-canons such as Jurassic the game. Well, before Jurassic World, I always believed they are hard canon, but after Jurassic World, maybe the detail isn't the same, but that could happen in the universe still.
Yeah, no, I don't. Jurassic Park the game isn't canon, but it's but there are like Easter eggs that we took from it to write it into
a lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah, because I like the game. It's like a homage to the game, like a I don't know, a respectful nod to be like, you know, we recognize your contribution to the canon in a way. That's the way I looked at it. But at the same time, contributions to the canon, obviously, like Mount Sibo being a very prominent one, because that actually makes it into the movies. But at the same time, it's like the actual events of that game didn't happen in the universe. But like you said, there's some things that are slightly different. Like, you know, the Herrerasaurus we wrote into the canon that were there, and it was like that was a nod to Jurassic Park the game. So, you know, there's that aspect.
And Jerry Harding reported about the Barbaros count, the engine.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So I always
Did he? Oh wait, no. He said someone stole embryos, but he didn't say Barbasol Cam specifically. He didn't know the exact nature of what was going on, right? Unless I'm forgetting what we've written. Hello, Jurassic James. Hey, Jurassic James.
James is here.
Is he? Should Should we invite him in as well? What's he doing? Jurassic James, what are you doing? Are you on Discord? Get on in here. Siaka says it makes sense since the art style is toony enough to imply that the visuals aren't necessarily canon. Yeah, I just honestly, in my own personal canon, Camp Cretaceous, it never happens. It's just not a thing. He says, yes, I am. I have James on Discord, right? Let's see if I can add him in. Jurassic James 1. I'm guessing that's him. Do you mind if I invite him in?
I like it. I like it.
Alright, let's see. Is he here? Is he here? There he is.
Hello.
Hello?
Hang on a minute.
Oh my god, this is so weird. Kind of. Keep talking.
I haven't got my mic plugged in. It's coming through the audio on the laptop.
No, we can kind of hear you. Speak again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's
Yeah,
just
I can hear you.
whenever you talk, we can hear you, but you're quite quiet.
Right, okay. I'm not sure why that is.
No idea. How are you anyway, James?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, sorry, I was actually
Ooh.
watching the video on YouTube, so...
Oh man, you're coming through much better now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was actually just watching your live stream on YouTube before the chat. So.
Nice. Yeah, it's weird for me because I listen to the Missing Compies podcast a lot, so like I'm like oh, it's Jurassic James from the Missing Compies podcast. He's here. It's quite funny. Always like your paleo contributions.
Yeah, it's nice doing that podcast. Like, it's just really nice to have that outlet just to chat Jurassic, and
Yeah.
it's just a shame at the moment. I've got so much uni work to get through. I'm still working on my thesis data, and it's just a mess because I'm pulling all these, looking at hadrosaur lower jaws. So I'm like chasing up museums and stuff to try and get these photographs. And my actual project changed before COVID. So originally I was going to go into the museums and getting actually photographing them, but because of COVID, it meant that the project changed. And I basically had to just get the images out of PDF articles and stuff. And now I'm just basically, there's a couple more museums to chase up, but most of these photos that are on the online collections don't have a scale bar or like the sizes, so it's like I need to find the details. So
You say hadrosaur leg bones, yeah?
no, lower dentary, so it's the jaw.
Lower jaw.
Lower jaw.
You hear that, everyone? He's working on the actual dinosaurs. You know, that's just insane.
Quite.
Sounds quite time consuming.
Yeah, I'm nowhere. I haven't even started the write up yet, and it's due in September. So I've got a lot to do yet. It's 10,000 words.
Well, I'll say the same thing as I said to Lewis. If you need to duck out because you're busy, just by all means.
Yeah,
No.
Fine. Yeah.
I don't feel like you have to stay. Titan of Serpents just said in the chat, Jack, did you just say whenever you talk we can hear you, lol? Yes, because I'm. What I mean by that is like, Discord has the gate, the audio gate. So if you talk, it opens, then we can hear you. But if you stay quiet, it's not like we can hear the rest of the room. So I meant it as in like to test the audio. If you keep talking, we could hear to see if it's working. But yeah, it does sound stupid when you say it like that. Which is the way I said it. How's your Jurassic June going, James? Are you doing good?
Yeah, it's been okay. It's just, I think it's, when Sam Neill, I'm pretty sure that information dump wasn't supposed to happen.
What did he do now? Because obviously I'm off a lot of social media, like Twitter and that. So
well, all the the teaser poster and everything that got dropped. Well, because like when he first dropped it, I saw it on Instagram, and then I like screenshotted it and put it on the Jurassic World official Facebook page, and then I noticed when they put all the information up on Twitter, a lot of the interviewers like Collider and Empire, they were like, "Oh, we've got these interviews and they're going to be dropped tomorrow," and then they were like, "Oh, we're bringing it forward." So I was like, "Well, maybe they must have decided to bring it forward because of the information coming out earlier."
Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Sam leaked everything. He leaked Giganotosaurus too.
Yeah, it's these older guys, man. I tell you, Frank Marshall's guilty of it as well.
I can't believe what he did, Frank Marshall, when he dropped that thing about the Indoraptor being.
God, that was so funny.
It was.
We were cracking up behind the scenes, like laughing our heads off. Cause we're like, heck, why couldn't you just write Indominus? Yeah, it's weird because like that's like the weird nature of movies. Like in the modern era, is like most of the stuff. If you're a deep fan on something, and you're in the circles of the fandoms and stuff, it's very rare to go in on something and be completely blind and not know anything. Like it's almost part and parcel of modern movies now. Is that like if you're on social media and you're obsessed with a certain movie or whatever, you're gonna go in with so many different expectations of what to see, which is why it's always good to go in with no expectations. Like just try and take all expectations off the table and be like, right, what is this movie actually about?
Yeah.
I mean, I found it. Oh, go on.
I was just gonna ask, like, how's your Jurassic June going?
Fantastic, really good. Can't say too much about why it's fantastic, although some people know. But like, it's also there's a lot of stuff going on where I'm like, okay, I wish the fans. I hope most of this stuff happens because the fans deserve it. That's all I can say, in a very loose way.
Yeah.
Like there's always, behind the scenes production stuff, like there's always lots of ideas being floated around and lots of stuff going on, and it's like you just want them all to land because a lot of these ideas are like so good. And you're like, oh, I hope these all come out, but it's then seeing what bites basically.
Yeah, it's been pretty mad, really, isn't it? Like the preview and then the Jurassic World Evolution stuff coming out. It's just been.
What are your thoughts on that then, Jurassic World Evolution?
Well, like when it first, I mean, I was excited, but I think, like, I'm cautiously optimistic because I think the first game I was quite let down by it, and whilst I did, I have supported Frontier. I bought the game and bought all the DLCs. I just find the actual game quite boring. I think it's just the fact that there's not much to do in it, and it's just really lacking depth.
You're speaking exactly what I think about the game. I found it so boring. I haven't even finished the main campaign.
Oh my god!
I haven't even completed Sauna. I just was like, I can't be bothered with this. I feel so bad because like the game looks amazing. The talent that's behind it are really talented, but the game is just so dull. It's like I'm bored of like, oh, I want to look after these dinosaurs, but at the same time I'm just worrying about this storm coming in and all my fences are down and now the dinosaurs are out and I have to put them back and it's like, and now the dinosaur populations, half of them are dead, so now they're like angry that they're not got all their friends, so now I need to make more, but that takes time and money, and it's just, I just don't care about any of this. I just want to build a park with everything at my disposal, and then I want to go into that park. That's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. I want to like build a park and then go into it first person and wander around, and then all that stuff can happen, and then it's like, the game goes, get to point B on the island by X amount of time, and then you can win this round. And it's like, okay, now I have to survive against my own dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That would be fun. That would be awesome. You'd have the park building aspect lead to something, but at the moment it's just like, I don't know, I hate all the management side of it. It's like when I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 when I was a kid, the fun was building the park to be everything I wanted it to be, And obviously there was an element of like, you know, this guest satisfaction and all that sort of stuff, but at the same time, it didn't stop you from building what you wanted to build. You could just build what you wanted to build as long as you made money. And so, yeah, I don't know. There wasn't like guests going on rampages and destroying rides. And you're like, oh god. And I know it's like that's the point of Jurassic, is like you know, you got to try and keep these dinosaurs contained, and I get that, but it was just so dull, so dull. It just became so grinding.
I found it a real chore doing the campaign. I think it was like Penna, which was like a really difficult island where it was just so much. There's hardly any space. There's constant storms coming in, and I was just like, you've got to get this island up to like 4 stars. And I was getting to a point where I was just rage quitting because I just couldn't do it. And I was getting so frustrated because all the dinosaurs just kept on breaking out and stuff.
Yeah, that's where I am with it.
Yeah, that's eventually where I did get through it, and I did unlock everything. The only thing that I didn't unlock was like all the InGen database. I think a load of that still was locked because I just couldn't be asked to do all the stuff required to do it. But in terms of Evolution 2, from what's been come out in the new interview and actually hearing it and listening back to it, it sounds like they're putting more effort in doing the behaviour and more of the animations, which is good.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, I think they've had obviously an extra 2 years now on the game, so I think that's probably a good thing, you know, because they have to do Evolution from scratch. So
yeah, I'm just like, I'll watch other people play it, and then if it looks like something I'll enjoy, I'll get it. But I'm not actually going to buy it first day like I did with the other game. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see. But yeah, I don't know. What did you think of the actual gameplay, Lewis, of the other game? Like, did you like it?
Actually, I was interested when it first came out, but yeah, after I finished the campaign and or DLC, I was bored, so I just add the mods and just add new species, and that's it.
Yeah,
so now, I'm so tired now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now they've let the modding community go in, and it's like, you know, once you see Garfield, which I've seen on the Gaming Beavers videos, when you see Garfield walking around with the dinosaurs, you're like, yeah, I think the game's done. I think we've reached the limit here of what the game can do. Yeah.
There's no more.
But we'll see.
And I still try to wake up.
Legendary 573 in the chat says, don't forget the contracts, Jack. You gotta love the new contract. I have one for you. I always dismissed the contracts unless it was something that was going to get me easy money. That might be why I didn't complete the game. But Matt says, I love Jurassic World Evolution. And he also says, it's 85's Ralph Brown's birthday today. Well, happy birthday, 85. How old is he? Is he 85? Oh my god, how old is he actually? Oh, that would be hilarious. Ralph Brown. Ralph Brown. Oh my god, how old is he? Oh, he's 63. Oh, you know he's going to get it on his birthday when he's 85. All these 85 jokes. I don't know if you guys have seen Alien 3, but
yeah,
I see.
I haven't seen it in ages though.
Okay, me and Matt, who's in the chat, Matt Brando, like we both love that movie, and he plays a character called well, he's nicknamed what the hell is his character's name in the film? Oh my god, I've forgotten. Oh my god, I need to remember this. I'm drawing a blank. What the hell is his name?
Find it.
No, I want to remember from my mind. Oh my god, I'm going to pull this out.
I will give you a hint.
85. It's Lieutenant Andrews.
Start
Mr.
A.
Aaron. Mr. Aaron. Yeah. Okay. Oh my god. Oh. I don't know why in my head I was going Mr. Murphy, but that's not it. It's like, that's what they say. It's Murphy. That's his boot. That's in like one of the scenes. But yeah, Aaron. Yeah. But yeah, his IQ is 85 in the movie, and they're always taking the mick out of him. So it'd be kind of funny when he actually turns 85. Oh my god. I felt like that was a proper brain freeze and a panicked moment. I do want to watch the Alien films again soon.
Is that the guy who gets like taken through the roof when they're all stood about? And he drops the
That's
ball?
Lieutenant Andrews. That's the guy who runs the operation. This guy is the guy who's like his sidekick. Who's like the second in command, and he's the one who like doesn't believe the company would kill them for seeing the alien and wants the alien. Like he just doesn't believe that that's their motive until he actually sees them, and then he realizes his mistake and then tries to right wrongs by smashing a wrench over Michael Bishop's head.
Oh yeah,
and then he gets shot and killed. R.I.P. 85.
I have a confession.
What's that?
I haven't seen Alien 3.
Oh my!
It is good.
God. Well, it's the film in the franchise that I think divides most people. You either love it or you hate it.
Well, I'd say I really prefer the extended cut over the original.
Yeah, the extended cut is better.
Yeah.
Alien 3 is amazing, man. It's got what's his face? It's got Pete Postlethwaite in it. It's got Roland Temple in it.
I know he's in, but I love Alien 4 more than 3.
But you haven't seen 3, so how can you say that? Heresy on this channel. No, it's alright. You can like Alien 4 more than Alien 3 if you want. Oh, and it's got Charles Dance. Yeah. He's the best character in the... Well, is he the best character? He might be the best character in the film.
It's really strange seeing Charles Dance so young. Like, because every other film I've seen him in, he's fairly old. And it's just like, it's really odd seeing him.
Have you heard of this? There's this film called, if I remember correctly, I'm going to look it up, called like White Mischief.
Right.
With him in, and that's when he was like a proper like poster boy actor. It's kind of a rude movie, so kids don't watch it. But yeah, he's really young in that.
Oh, he is as well. Yeah.
White Mischief. Oh my god, I shouldn't have googled that.
1987.
Yeah. Legendary says, I'm just wondering, Jack. I know you dislike Camp Cretaceous, but with season 4 on the way, what do you want in season 4? I can't talk about it. Like I said, I had a conversation with Colin. He told me stuff, so I can't say what I want because
you're in the know.
I am in the know, so I'd be lying or I would be telling the truth. I don't know, you know. Yeah. Hello, Alex. He says, hello, gang. I've arrived. Yeah. What do you think about Camp Cretaceous, James? What's your thoughts on it? I know I've heard some thoughts on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, like even on the chat, like yesterday, I was saying about the motion comics being better.
That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was sort of joking, really. Yeah.
the opinion I couldn't even get behind. I was like, oh my god, he's saying these motion comics are better.
No, I mean, I think the first season I really did enjoy, just because obviously it followed the events of the film. There were a couple of inaccuracies, such as like the whole. The gyrosphere that the Indominus destroys just being on a bit of grass.
Oh, I hated that so much.
That really it did sort of niggle me a little bit. There were a few other things as well, like the Mosasaur Lagoon and like Main Street not being there. I just felt like season 2 just completely jumped the shark. There was just so many things that were happening. I didn't really feel like the plot was moving anywhere, but the characters were just going and doing different things, and then we had this weird story follow through of Ben in one episode of his character completely doing a 180 and
through absolutely no reason. Like he just suddenly decides. I'm
snaps because he was constantly doing the same thing over and over again.
If Ben see this stream, he said, "Because I defeat Oro."
I was kind of hoping when they were plugging that up in season 3, that they were playing it up like he told that story to them, and it was like a load of rubbish. But at the same time, they have shots of him riding around on Bumpy, and he's all like got the spear, and I'm just like, no, they're not doing that, are they? He's like, that is what meant to have happened. Ugh.
Yeah, I feel like it's just sort of from there, it just sort of didn't really know what it wanted to be, and then by season 3, I was just like. I was sort of over at the series a bit by then. I think that's the thing. And then going into the third one, I was just like, oh, it is a bit better. But then again, I just felt a lot of it was drawn out for the sake of it being drawn out. Like,
Yeah.
like what I said about the yacht party, that was such a random thing to have in. It just didn't make much sense. I mean, the kids didn't even go back to get the swim costumes. I just found that so bizarre.
It's insanely stupid. It's like, I know this is going to sound like another stupid thing to say. So who said that in the chat when I said I can hear your voice? Who brought that up? I just want to double check. Who said, did Jack just say if you talk we can hear you? Well, who said that? I can't remember now. It was Titan of Serpents. So Titan of Serpents, I'm about to say something very similar to that. So just bear with me here. I know what I was like when I was a kid. And I know I would have found that yacht party sequence stupid even if I was like 7. And I've been like, what? Especially after they say, hey, we've got fuel, we've got a boat, we've got everything to get off this island. But we're in no rush. And it's like, yes, you are in a rush.
Enjoy the party.
Yeah. Oh my god. And it was so idiotic. And it's like, you are in a rush because the film was telling us the series was telling us you were in a rush 5 seconds ago when you were trying to get off the island on this raft. Like, have you just forgotten your mission? Like, I don't know. It just annoyed the hell out of me. And like you said, they go back for their bloody swimming trunks, and it's like,
and the whole Blue situation as well, when Blue's under the car. That was just like, again, that was just ridiculous.
But it's a kid show. Don't worry about
it. I know, but then Colin said it's canon. This is the thing. Like, people wanting to have it both ways. It's just
I know,
a kid
you
show.
can't have it both ways. That's the problem.
I know.
It's, if you think about it for 5 seconds, it's like impossible to have it both ways. It's just, the films do stupid stuff, right? Let's not get let's not beat around the bush here. Like, they've always done ridiculous over the top things ever since the beginning. And it's a fine line to balance between, you're seeing, as I said earlier, these like serious scenes and then like cut to one of the craziest sequences. Where it's really like unrealistic. But at the same time, I think the films always have this feel to them where it doesn't feel like they're breaking the very universe they're setting up.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Camp Cretaceous, things like Ben riding the Ankylosaurus while the room's exploding and he's putting on hand sanitizer at the same time and trying to look cool, that breaks even Camp Cretaceous, what Camp Cretaceous was setting up in the previous series.
That scene was literally straight out of X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like,
yeah.
When he jumps on the bike.
It's just stupid. It's like going from like I don't know, like Die Hard to like where he's like got bloodied feet and he's like trying to take down these terrorists and it's all very sort of almost gritty and realistic, to then he drives a cop car into a helicopter in the 4th one and someone turns around and goes, you just drove a police car into a helicopter. And he's like, I was out of bullets. It's like, what? No, what's happening? But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's a fine line to balance. Like, with the one that gets me, if we go through each movie, the first film where it gets like the silliness, I'm like, you have to overlook it. Well, not overlook it as in like, oh, it's a kid's film, just go over it. But more as in like, overlook it because it's... Well, no, it's not even that you overlook it. You look past it because the movie's engaging. Let's put it that way. So for me, it's when like Timmy and Grant are going down the tree, and Timmy's just said, I've been throwing up and all this sort of stuff. And then the car lands on them, and then he's like, and now we're back in the car again. And it sounds like a line. I always hear Jake Lloyd from Star Wars Episode 1, kind of like, I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. It's like kind of that kind of thing. It's like, I don't think a kid would make a joke like that after going through what he just went through.
Yeah.
I think a kid would be freaking traumatized. Probably screaming for his life. Pissing his pants. Like, the car just fell on top of him. But he makes a joke, and it's like, okay, I like the joke. It's funny. That's the fun of the movie, but it's totally unrealistic. Same with like, oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, this is what I don't get about the massive amount of backlash against the whole Cretaceous stuff. I can understand it, but as someone who's studying to be a paleontologist, I find it really bizarre. Like, because of what Colin has said, like, it is a story decision, and Steve said,
Are you talking about the opening?
Yeah, I'm talking about the opening. Yeah, I just find it, I can understand, like, it's a creative decision.
Does it bother you?
It does a little bit, but not enough for it to, like, ruin the film for me, or be like, oh, this is another thing the franchise has got wrong. Just because, actually, the franchise is silly anyway. Like, I mean, in The Lost World, we've got a sequence when they're running through the grass and no one's, like, shooting a gun. And it's just like, well, the franchise isn't realistic anyway in that sense of what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm a bit annoyed about, the time differences with the dinosaurs that they're introducing.
Was there... Well, you know this more than I, right? Was there a dinosaur akin to the Giganotosaurus that lived at the same time as the T-Rex?
I mean,
what would you have pitted the T-Rex against? In Dominion, if you were in control,
another T-Rex. I mean, I think
the T-Rex.
Oh my god! You've just the Red Rex. You could introduce the Red Rex.
No, you could do actually. Yeah,
that would have been cool, right? Who better to pit the T-Rex against than another T-Rex? Dude, you've just blown my mind.
Triceratops.
Or the red Triceratops. It's like, yeah, that's actually that's a good. No, it's good. I like it. You sold me instantly.
Yeah, I think like the Moros is like closer in terms of the time. I think that was like 96. Is it 96 million years ago? 98.
Am I the only one? Morse is too small than a real one. Colin? I think Steve mentioned that it's a fully grown adult.
It's actually like smaller than what it was in real life. Is that what you're trying to?
Yeah. Well, I think it's supposed to be a very early young one, isn't it? I think it's probably just after it's hatched, probably. You look at it in terms of the size of the gigamouth on the floor, and obviously the gig is quite big. But yeah. I think it's difficult, isn't it? I can understand like why they've gone the way they have done.
When they do in like a kind of, this is a metaphorical kind of visualization of those two evolutionary family trees. Is it the Albeliosaurs? Am I right with that? With Giga or the
It's the Carcharodontosaurids.
Carcharodontosaurids and the Tyrannosaurids. Is that what they were trying to sum up? Like those two competing.
I mean, the fandom's been calling for the Giganotosaurus to be in the films for ages anyway, so I can understand why. And it seems like Colin's setting that dynamic up for going ahead in the film going forward. But yeah, I just. Like, I mean, like even the timing's wrong anyway. Like, it's supposed to be set 65 million years ago, but actually, the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction's like a year after and stuff. It's like it's the stuff that's
wait, a year. Wait, you're gonna have to explain that one to me because I've never heard that. A year after what?
Yeah, so like the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction took place. I think that was it 66 million years ago? So it takes so it's set like a year before.
But is that 65? Wait, my maths is going to be absolutely dreadful here, so correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't 65 million years and then 66 million years? That's a million years, right, between them?
Yeah. So it's a million years earlier, isn't it? So yeah, I think once we see it on the screen, I think it'll be fine. I think it's the fact that we just hear, like, Colin's obviously got Steve to have some. It's Steve Cernan himself. Like it's Colin's vision for the film, and Steve's had some input. And I think this is the thing, isn't it? It's the same.
People think Steve will have control.
He doesn't. Yeah.
No, he's there as a consultant. Like, he'll be there as like, what do you think about this, and then the filmmaker will tell a story, which is that's the whole point. of movies is to tell a story, to have X problem be resolved by the end of the movie, and so it's not gonna be accurate. But the thing is, it's like, another T-Rex would have been cool. Let's just put it that way. Like, I'm someone who, like, I don't complain either way. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm not bothered by it. I'm not a paleo guy anyway. I just like seeing dinosaurs on screen. I mean, I've always said I want to see a live action dinosaur film done in the modern era with great special effects where the T-Rex is walking upright and all that. Like, I want to see that redone, like old dinosaurs but done modern day. Like, it doesn't bother me if they're all inaccurate or things are wrong. But what does irk me is if people get on up their hind horses over the idea of storytelling, like the idea of, like, they're trying to tell a story, and if that goes against reality, that, like, aren't movies antithetical to reality anyway, because they're not real?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the franchise anyway has never been set within really our reality. Like,
no,
I think that's the thing. I think people are viewing it as, oh, it's set in our world, but from JP we know that it isn't, because the Velociraptors are found in Montana, and Grant's like, oh, it's a Velociraptor, but actually it's based on Deinonychus, like, in our world. And it's just like, well, there are things set up, like the whole paleontology stuff of, like, the Rex not being able to see is talked about, and see movement, and then you've got that whole Sarah Harding discussion about Rex sort of nesting behavior and stuff like that, and paternal behavior, and some of it is really off the cuff, and some of it is sort of metaphors to paleontologists that are living today, and it's like, sort of characters resembling the paleontologists who are doing work and stuff. So from that perspective, you can't expect the franchise. I mean, it's not real anyway. I mean, in Jurassic World, they've got holograms of dinosaurs, and we don't even have and they're like moving. So we don't have like real life. So it's like, well.
That's what I said in the chat we were having the other day. I said, like, the most unrealistic thing for me in these movies are the humans. Like.
Yeah.
Like the one-liners. Like, do you think in real life, if a raptor turned to you and was right next to your head, that you would even think to go, "Clever girl"? Like, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't think to say that. You'd say anything but that. Like, that's the thing. It's like these films are tailor-made to be, quote unquote, cheesy and filmy, because that's what they are. They're movies from Hollywood. That's like that by design. That is what they are.
I find it strange, the criticism as well. Sorry, just about Jurassic World. I always find it strange about Jurassic Collectibles' view on Jurassic World, because it's like, oh, well, the film's about, it's about all this commercialism and stuff like that. It's about, sort of a soft reboot and everything. But actually, the Jurassic Park's actually meta anyway. Like, when you watch Jurassic, like, you got Ian Malcolm saying, do you think they're going to have that on the tour? Or when, Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, there's like all these references to things, and you're just like, well, actually, that was in the very first film as well.
Well, the one that gets me is when Hammond's like, and these attractions will drive kids out of their minds. And it's like, when I was a kid watching that movie, it drove me out of my mind, like, seeing his attractions. Like, it was like direct link to the audience. I think that line. I think that wasn't written to just be like a throwaway line. Didn't mean anything. And obviously, think to Lost World. Ooh, that's how it starts, and then later there's running and screaming. That's like exactly what the audience is thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to speak too much about Jurassic Collectibles, just he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, obviously.
But like people know, well, for people who don't know, like we have a Jurassic WhatsApp group with a few fans in there, and like usually it's me and Jurassic Collectibles having like this long conversation about the same thing we've talked about 4 weeks
I'm not
ago.
in that group. I don't know what it is.
Lewis, have you got WhatsApp? We'll get you in.
I don't have it.
See, there you go. You can't be in it. You got to get WhatsApp, and then you can be in it. It was one I made like in 2015, like ages ago, and then slowly but surely I've been like collecting fans who want to join, and just over the years, and other people just invite other people in, and and it's just been group. People have left. People have come in, gone. Like it's
really nice.
They probably leave because they're just sick of the same bloody conversations coming up every 5 seconds.
There's just thousands of messages that you have to work through.
Yeah, like earlier today I looked at my phone and I had like 200 and something notifications on my phone, and I was like, oh my god, like I know what group that is. And then I looked, and it's because the Dominion stuff was leaking out, the preview thing.
What's your view on that, Jack, about all of this leakage going on at the moment?
I'm someone who, like, I don't want to see any of that. Like, obviously I've seen certain things, but but the thing is, like, I hate seeing it because it's one of those things, like, I feel like this, if we dig to the core of the issue of leaks, it is people want to have that experience that they had watching the first movie, or at least an experience akin to that. And one of the key factors of, and I mean, I don't want to be gatekeeping and putting words in people's mouths, so you know, I'm basing this off like what I've seen, like through people's opinions, taking note of. Like people want to have that experience where they watch a movie and they're blown away by what they're seeing because they're on the journey. They're not thinking about anything else but the story that's being told, and they're like, okay, this is, you know, they're going along for the journey. You're joining the characters on their adventure, and you feel like you're there alongside them. That's the whole point, right? That doesn't happen anymore because things get leaked out. And it's also a problem because of marketing decisions, like deciding to do something, to market a movie a certain way that sort of drives people to want to seek out stuff because they're not going to be able to see it, if ever. And well, I mean, like, you know, for a very long time. And it's that thing where, like, okay, Alien Covenant, for example. So I'm a big Alien fan, right? I'm as big an Alien fan as I am a Jurassic fan, except for I haven't directly had a working relationship with the Alien franchise. I've tried, but you know, but I love the Alien franchise. And when Covenant and Prometheus were coming out, I watched the first trailers and then I like just stopped watching anything else. Same with Godzilla King of the Monsters, actually, and there was also so much viral marketing for that, but I just didn't dive into any of it. Or like, you know, when I say viral marketing, I'm talking trailers, I'm talking everything, like even the Monarch website and stuff.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to go, I didn't want to know anything. And then when I managed to avoid a lot of stuff, but there were still things that would cross my path, and I'm like, oh, damn, I've just seen that screenshot. And I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't seen that, because that would have been nice to experience that with the characters in the movie, that, you know, for the first time, go along for the journey. And the thing is, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that a movie's going to be good, because, you know, you might go on a journey and then halfway through be like, oh, I've seen this journey a million times. I know where this is going. And then lo and behold, that's what it does. But I feel like that's what people are striving for. But when things get leaked out, it just completely undoes that. And so, like, Fallen Kingdom is a great example of like how the trailers were mostly to blame, I think, for most of the negative feedback for that movie.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't necessarily the film itself, it was the marketing. Because everyone knew what was going to happen, what they were expecting when they went into that film. They're like, okay, when's the T-Rex going to meet the lion? And that doesn't happen until right at the end. When does Malcolm say welcome to Jurassic World? Oh, it's literally the last line of the movie. Like they marketed that film so wrong that I feel like when people went in, they were like, oh, this movie's stereotypical, it's doing stuff all the same I've seen before, and all this sort of stuff. Which those criticisms might still have come about, but it might have had a bit more of a different impact had people not known exactly what was going to happen. Like, if they'd have just kept the black market sales of the dinosaurs completely out of the trailers, so you know they go to the island to rescue the dinosaurs. That's it. You know something's going to go wrong because it's a Jurassic movie, but you don't know what. I feel like people would have been less mean to that film. But because everyone, like even people who aren't in like deep into the Jurassic fandom, watch YouTube videos, and they all do trailer reviews and trailer reactions and God knows what else. I feel like everyone under the sun had watched most of that movie before going in. The only thing they'd managed to preserve was the Maisie clone stuff.
Yeah.
And even then, that because that was the last sort of saving spoiler that hadn't been spoiled. Or say spoiler that hadn't been spoiled, plot point that hadn't been spoiled. I feel like that people didn't care as much as they would have had they been going along for the journey and didn't know everything else as well. It would have made much more sense for people, and I feel like that's the issue. I think people are trying to strive for that 90s feel where you only saw a trailer maybe on TV if it came on during the adverts, or you were sat in a cinema waiting for another film and a trailer came on for a film you're excited about and you watched it, and then it's only in your memory. You can't remember everything you saw until you watch the film again when it comes out however many months or years later. Like, people want that feeling. They want that feeling of going on the journey with these characters or any characters, and that's so rare now to do that completely from the beginning.
Yeah.
I know I went on a bit of a rant there, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah.
So, like, I watched Alien Covenant and Prometheus. I brought this up as examples. I knew very little compared to like when I went back and watched the trailers all back and went back through all the marketing stuff, because that was the fun of, like, after I'd seen the film, I was like, oh, I can go through all that stuff now. And I was reading it, I was like, oh my god, the amount of stuff they give away. I was like, I can't believe this. So I'm glad I saved it.
I'm trying to remember now, because I remember, because I really love the Alien franchise as well. I think because I'm trying to remember, there was so much stuff that was coming out before Covenant hit, just about Ridley Scott's plans for the film anyway, and like the script. I think there was like a couple of script leaks that came out that didn't turn out to be right anyway. But I was really excited to see the film, and I remember seeing it in 2017 when it came out, and I thought it was really great. I was really surprised though within the actual Alien fandom that a lot of people didn't like it, and I was just like, I didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the criticisms as well just seem to be most of the same criticisms they had about past Alien films.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from the fact that obviously Shaw gets killed, in the way she does and stuff, and people wanted to see her story, continue. But yeah. I love the film. I think Prometheus and Covenant are two really great films that really work together really well.
Yeah, you and I are in total agreement on that. I think they're really good movies, so well made, but just horribly underrated. I mean, the editing in Prometheus might be its biggest issue.
Yeah,
there's characters that literally disappear from the film, but in terms of like the storytelling and stuff, it's what the story they're telling and the acting and all that, so it's all good.
I was just gonna say I was slightly annoyed that they changed the Fifield fight scene, because he was going to be more alien-like.
Oh, you see, I'm of the opposite. I actually like the final version, yeah, because the alien version of him. Maybe actually, I don't want to die on this hill, but it might be down to unfinished effects. Like, I just felt like it looked too rough. Yeah, I kind of liked what they were going for, but like the way it moved and stuff, I was like, this kind of looks unfinished and it's putting me off. So I like the tangible, real guy being made up. But had they put that scene in and then finished the effects, maybe I would have been like, okay, this is better. But I don't think we actually saw that. It looked a bit too rough still, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The whole reaction to those two movies, I feel like there's all sorts going on with the Alien franchise. It's very similar to the Jurassic, to what goes on with Jurassic. Because to me, Alien and Jurassic are almost the same. Like Alien is like I've always called it the adult Jurassic Park. Like Jurassic Park's tailored more towards kids and that, but you watch Alien and it just feels like you're watching Jurassic Park in space. but more adult, like more blood and swearing and all that. You've got Wayland instead of InGen. You got all these plot points. The way the animals or the dinosaurs and the alien, the way the differences with each movie, the same sort of conversations come up in the fandoms. Like, it's funny because I was saying earlier today, I was having a conversation in this Discord group, which I've caused a bit of a stir in by accident. Where they were talking about the T-Rex design in this leak, and saying how, you know, it looks exactly like the Jurassic Park T-Rex design. And so I had to go and say it, didn't I? I was like, which Jurassic Park T-Rex design? And then it caused this whole thing of like, we know that they're inconsistent and all that. Like, I had to. It was like, oh god, it was like a sitting duck right there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to say it, aren't I? And then it brought up the whole bloomin' bull T-Rex, Jurassic Park 3 T-Rex. Are they the same T-Rex conversation, which I've always brought up because I think it's interesting when you compare it to the conversations about the T-Rex design. But the way this relates to the Alien franchise is like the amount of conversations I had back in the day, like 2006 era, where I was on AVP Galaxy.
Oh gosh, I remember that.
Yeah, and we were discussing at length, or having a debate about the designs of the aliens that were coming out for Alien versus Predator Requiem, right? Mm-hmm. And there were some complaints about the design, and I said I preferred the design compared to the one in AVP, because the one in AVP is just the one from Alien Resurrection painted black. And then someone was saying, when are we ever going to get the original Alien back? And then I had the same conversation I've been having in the Jurassic fandom with fans back then. I said, well, we've never had a consistent Alien. Like, what do you mean when you say the Alien? Are you talking about the one from Alien? Or are you talking about the one from Aliens? Because each film has a different design, and the T-Rex in Jurassic Park has gone through the same exact process. Like, there's not one movie where that T-Rex looks the same. Or looks the same within each individual movies. Like, it has all these different designs. So like, it's like, I don't care if they change the design. That doesn't bother me, right? I'd like it if they had a consistent design from the beginning. You know, who wouldn't? But it doesn't bother me that it changed the design. But what actually bothers me is when people talk about it as if like it's one unified thing when it's not.
When it's not, yeah. When
it's just simply not, and it becomes confusing because it's funny because the whole conversation about the T-Rex, for example, not looking like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park in Jurassic World, for one example, that conversation's come up a million times. It always makes me laugh because like that's a complaint about consistency. It's like, oh, it's not consistent with the one from Jurassic Park. So it's like, okay, well, you don't like that design, fair enough. But what you must realise, fictional fan I'm arguing in my head with, is that by changing the design again to match your tastes, you're breaking consistency with this design. So it's not like, do people really care about consistency? I don't know if they do. I think they care about like what they like.
Yeah.
And it's like just about getting through what they like. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's hard because I don't want to like straw man people's arguments and put words in people's mouths and stuff. But like it fascinates me, all this conversation about like whether a design looks like something or whether it doesn't. And it's like, do you accept it as the thing it's meant to be? Yes or no? That's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. If it's a yes, then great. All right, fine. If no, then it's like a whole different conversation. And that's why I bring up the bull T-Rex to Jurassic Park 3, because that's how it links in terms of this conversation. Because aside from, I guess, maybe the female T-Rex in the Lost World and the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 1, the bull T-Rex and the one in Jurassic Park 3 might be the most consistent T-Rex we've ever had on screen. But everyone considers that a different dinosaur. So it's like, I don't know what the rules are to these conversations that come up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find like what's going on, and then I get so lost in the weeds, and then it all comes back down to like everyone has their own opinion, and that's what everyone's like trying to give their 2 cents on. So
yeah, it's difficult. I can understand people wanting the Rex to be a bit more consistent, but then we also know that it's never going to be what it was in the first film, because like ILM like lost the assets and stuff, so they had to recreate it. So it's like, well, they're basing it off like the maquette and stuff, and
well, it's not only that. Like I hate to sound like a bit of a downer, but what's really changed is the audience.
yeah,
Like, we've gotten older, we've gotten wiser, we've seen all the movie tricks, we know things are done in computer. Like this isn't like 1993 anymore. Like this, that's what I'm saying. Like whenever I had that conversation with, again, Jurassic Collectibles the other day in the group, I was saying how, like, you know, he reckons lightning in a bottle can strike twice, right? That's what he said. He said he hopes that they can catch it again. And I said, I think you'll be waiting a very, very long time, if not forever, for them to capture that lightning in a bottle that was Jurassic Park. Like, I don't think it's ever attainable, because it has so many factors, most of them determined by what was in the past, to take place in order for something like that to happen again. Jurassic Park was a miracle of movie making. All the right things were in place at the right time, even down to the hurricane that hit the crew.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's so much stuff that goes into making that movie to make it the way it is, that in order to recreate that is virtually impossible. You can have moments in new movies and stuff. Like, all the movies feel different, but they all have that sort of, I don't know if it's just me, like, this is personal opinion here, but like, to me, all the movies, even Jurassic Park 3, the one I like the least, even that feels Jurassic. Like, it has that Jurassic feeling. And to me, if, like, as long as it has that, that's all that matters to me. As long as it feels like it's in the same universe, then I don't mind.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think that's why that for me there's a disconnect with Camp Cretaceous, because to me it doesn't feel like Jurassic.
Yeah,
it feels like there's something missing, and I think it's not only the fact that some of the stuff is just completely inconsistent in terms of the rules of the universe that it's set in, but it's just it's not matching what I associate the films as matching, or, you know, some of the past stuff, like even like the comics and even like the books and stuff and games or whatnot. So it's just like, I think that's what's sort of missing, really. But yeah.
Canon, canon is a fickle beast.
I hate to stop your conversation, but I really need to go right now. I'm so tired.
Go have breakfast or sleep or something.
I have to sleep now.
Yeah, no, dude, go sleep.
Yeah, go, Lewis. You get some rest.
Okay.
We're in the UK. It's nighttime for us, so we're all good.
Okay. Again, Tom is here.
Yeah, Tom Jurassic. Hello, dude.
Oh,
and
Tom
Mike
here,
Thumb.
is he? And Mike.
Hey, if any of you guys want to jump on Discord, I'll have you on. Because I'm doing spoilers for Dino-Defenders, so I can't really show anyone what I'm working on. So I'm just trying to, like, have some decent conversation to fill the blank screen, the spoiler screen.
It's I gotta go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lewis.
Yeah, thanks.
Stay safe.
For joining.
I'll speak to you soon.
Stay safe, guys.
Right,
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's really, I think Jurassic's in a really strange position at the moment, isn't it? Because we're still a year away, and we're getting this footage now, which is really exciting. But I think it's the fact of, from what I've seen, because obviously there's been some of this leaked stuff that's come out with the footage, you know, the extended preview and stuff. I think like the CGI looks a lot better. I think this is the thing. Like when I read the article, I think it was the Collider one, and they're interviewing Colin, and they were saying.
By the way, I just want to put a pin in this moment and just say, boo-boo, Colin. You shouldn't have given away everything that happens in the bloomin' thing.
Yeah,
in that interview.
Yeah, it's basically does spoil what the preview
it's like,
is.
what the hell, man? Like, you're just giving away your secrets. Why are you doing that?
I know. But yeah, I mean, from what that article said about the VFX, like saying it looks incredible. I mean, like the dinosaurs do look really great. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I was blown away by the CGI in Fallen Kingdom of the dinosaurs, but from what it's showing in this new one, it looks even better. So
yeah. Well, I can't really speak too much, but from what I've seen, I saw a lot of unfinished stuff, so it's like I can't judge it too much, and I haven't. But there were certain moments that were insanely good, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is the opening." The opening is going to be something special.
Do you think they'll end up doing like any reshoots at all? Like, or do you think it's
no,
sort of done now?
No, it's definitely done. There's just certain creases they want to iron out and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think we're just sort of really lucky to be in this moment in time, really, with the franchise, considering the fact that 6, 7, well, it was like 8 years ago, where we didn't think the franchise was coming back, and then we got Jurassic World, and
I know you got Jurassic Park 6 out next year.
I know, it's mad.
And a TV show, despite us not necessarily liking it.
I'm really glad that we do have a TV show. As much as I don't like Camp Cretaceous, I'm glad that the kids have something, because we never had that growing up, and I'm really happy that they do.
Yeah, I'll be honest though. I don't know, and I'm not saying they're not out there by any stretch of the imagination. But I actually don't know any kids who are watching it. I mean, I know there's like sort of teenagers are watching it, and I know kids are watching it. There must be kids watching it, but I actually don't know any of them. My 6-year-old nephew, he's all about Minecraft. Like, he likes Jurassic. He'll watch the movies still. Like, we watched one the other day with he put it on. I was like, what do you want to watch? He's like, I want to watch Jurassic. So I was like, okay. And but Camp Cretaceous, he doesn't care. I remember we were watching season 2 because like he liked season 1, and then I was like, look, season 2's out now. I was like, do you want to come over and we'll watch it? We'll binge watch it all. So we invited him over and we watched it all. And about halfway through, he started to just like wander around, and I don't know if it was because we were binge watching it, but then he would dip in, and we were playing, with the old Jurassic toys that I have, and he had his ones over, and then I kid you not, there was the bit where Ben took on Toro, and the look on his face during that sequence was priceless. I was watching him and I was like, he doesn't buy this. He's not buying this. And then I was like, Charlie, what do you think? And he was like, I don't think he could kill that thing. I don't think he could take that on. I think Carnotaurus would kill him. I was like, yes. Even the 6-year-old gets it. Like, yeah. So I think even after that, he's kind of just like, yeah. He hasn't watched season 3. I know that much. Or he's seen a bit of it. I think he saw a clip. But he's all about Minecraft. He's moved on. So.
Well, what did you think about the whole E750 sort of plot point?
I didn't mind it. I mean, I didn't mind it in terms of like it's how to word this. It's in relation to canon to itself. Like, I didn't mind that within Camp Cretaceous they had this new hybrid. The design, I think, looks goofy as hell in when it's paused. If you see it in motion, it looks kind of cool. Like if you see it moving around, and there's certain shots where like low shots of it, like looking up, where it looks really cool. But I just don't buy that it's actually in the world of Jurassic, the movies, because like when Masrani and Wu confront each other during the whole Indominus stuff, like they never bring it up, and it's kind of feels like that's a perfect moment to talk about that very thing, and let's put it this way, that like this must have been a recent thing, because we've got behind the scenes, we've got like a document that contains all the information on like the franchise dinosaurs, like the characters of all the dinosaurs, like all their information is in there, which we use for stuff. And on the Indominus section, it says the first genetically created hybrid. So you're like, okay, all right, so they've kind of just changed that. So this document is now like already changed if they're considering this all like hard canon or whatever. So
it just feels to me like there's a disconnect there, because as well I sort of recognise the fact that there's just differences, like from reading like the evolution of Claire. Like you have that whole raptor storyline of I mean it's Justin, isn't it, who's the guy who gets killed, and Claire has this big thing about him, and you know the reason why she wants to work at Jurassic World is to sort of change things and whatnot. But again, it's that thing of Masrani has like who knows about that situation. It basically feels like Jurassic Park all over again, with Hammond not sort of like the deaths and stuff being kind of covered up and it not being dealt with. And
well, you also think
guess...
that Claire, if her boyfriend Owen is working with the raptors, you think she might be like, bring it up with him. Oh, you know, my previous boyfriend, you know how he died? What?
Yeah. It's like she's not phased at all. Yeah.
She's not phased. They never bring it up. This is the thing. It's like, it's one of those things where I kind of feel like these supplementary Jurassic material that, you know, we're told is like, take it as canon, is they play that line of like not referencing it, because in some ways I guess you could argue that it all works, but then at the same time you can easily write it out.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like that's what they're trying to do, is like have their cake and eat it as well. But that was the issue we ran in with the viral websites, was like we tried to write it so no one could write around it. It was like, we're like, no, this is like legit. But there's there are still things in there that fans have issues with. I was having a conversation just before starting the stream with people on another Discord group. I did invite them on because I was like, I want to hash out this conversation once and for all. But they were adamant that like there's no time whatsoever for Nedry to slice any hose pipes or pipes of the embryotic chambers, because we see him close the door to the room, and then he closes the aerosol can, and he says he's got to get to the dock and he's on a time limit, so there's no chance in hell that he would cut the pipes, as we wrote in the InGen reports document. And I guess like I get their point. I completely get their point. But then as the person who wrote that, I'm like, well, I was having fun with it. So, and I guess that's where like these I can't blame Camp Cretaceous and that for doing something similar, because they're just having fun with the Jurassic IP. That's the thing. These people, these creators, they're just like, we've got the Jurassic IP to play with. What do we want to do? That's like what it comes down to. And it's like, and if you stick strictly to everything that came before with no ifs or buts, it's like it's going to be a very short series. Like it's not really going to go anywhere.
It's a fine line to walk, isn't it? I think just for the way the Camp Cretaceous is going, the things that I don't buy are just the really obvious things. Just the fact that no one has tried to get the kids off the island, like come back, like Dave and Roxy are nowhere to be found, and it's just like, even like the explanations that people within the fandom come up with. Oh, it's just like, oh, it's like that thing of like being like a prisoner of war and stuff, and you just left on the, you just left and everyone's forgot about you and stuff. It doesn't really fly, because we see that the Kirbys do actually want to, they're contacting different people to try and get their kid back, and then they decide to fly there themselves. And knowing that Jurassic World was rebuilt, and then you've had this catastrophe, and now everyone's like left, and you've got the parents of these kids, and they're just like, well, the parents must have like been like, oh, well, we've got to get these kids back, or they would have filed an action to try and go there, and it's just not explained.
Yeah, and they're probably going to have some like throwaway line in the future that explains, what they've all been doing this whole time. It's Darius's brother is the one I think about a lot, because his dad died. And he wanted to go to Jurassic World, and then like, what, does he think his brothers just bit the dust as well? Like,
I know, yeah.
I guess he does, but you'd think he'd want to send a rescue team or someone to go at least check, or you'd think Dave and Roxy would have found out that those kids didn't make off the island. Like, does everyone just think they're dead? That's like what I want to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even Ben's mum, didn't Ben's mum work on the island or something? So it's just like, well, she just left a kid there, not decided to like. Yeah, it's not explained. It's like you said, it probably will be like a throwaway line.
Yeah. I'd want to, if I was writing it, I'd do like a whole subplot of the adults on the mainland.
But yeah, I mean,
but obviously that's like money.
Show it, shouldn't they? Yeah,
that's money in animation. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
I mean,
me and Tim were pitching an animation, not Jurassic, but like pitching an entirely original animation early last year, and we were talking to animation studios, and there was ones that had quality that was slightly under the quality of even Camp Cretaceous, and they were saying that, like, you know, the average studio pricing for animation like this, you know, you're talking like $100,000 per minute of footage. And you're like, okay, geez, like, imagine then what Camp Cretaceous costs. And you're like, you're talking stupid money here, and then you know why they want to get it out, and it's like, and it might not be vetted as much. It's like they're trying to get this massive expensive thing out so they can actually make the return on it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the issue.
to be honest, I'm just glad that the franchise has just started to move away from the islands, and it's just like dinosaurs are on the mainland now, because that's like a huge plot point from the novel, and I'm so happy that it's happening, like after 6 movies.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was meant to be originally the original idea for the 3rd movie, wasn't it? Like back in the day,
Yeah.
that was what they originally had planned for Jurassic Park 3, was we were going to move the dinosaurs off island. But the thing I like about it is I'm of the mindset of, I'm one of those people who've like, if I want to enjoy a decent Jurassic Park movie that's set on an island, I have 5 movies to watch now.
Yeah,
I'm going to pick one of those 5 to watch. I'm glad they're moving off the island. Like, I'm not sad that they're not doing another one on the island. I mean, obviously you got Camp Cretaceous and stuff, but as far as we can tell, the movies, they're not going back there. So, like, I'm fine with them not doing that. I know some people really want them to go back to the islands and all that sort of stuff, or they even said like, oh, I want the island section of Fallen Kingdom to be longer, all that sort of stuff, and that's fair enough. But my personal opinion, I'm like, the island stuff's fine as it is. I'm glad to be away from that. It's just nice to see new, like see fresh, like completely new.
yeah, and just sort of see where the story goes with it all. Really, I think that's the thing. I feel like the islands have been done. Like, when, you know, it's difficult as well, because obviously with the way Fallen Kingdom sort of left Nublar, we didn't really see much of the stuff get destroyed, and it probably would have been nice to see like more of maybe like Main Street get destroyed or whatever. So it's like, yeah, you can't go back at all. But yeah, I think that I don't really get like the criticisms of Fallen Kingdom. Like, I was reading through some of the stuff earlier today. Actually, it was just like just took a break. I was just like, oh, let's see what people talk about. I found a Reddit post on the Jurassic Park thing about Fallen Kingdom isn't actually that bad. I was just to get people's comments, and it's just like, it's just the sort of the same thing of, oh, it's just a bit of a dumb film, and the island, you know, the island stuff's good, but then when they get to like the mainland, it's just really silly. And I'm just like, well, I actually really like how both sides of the film sort of contrast, but both acts contrast to each other, and the fact
I
that
love
the
it.
mansion
I think they
stuff is
mix
just
really
so-
well.
Yeah, I do. I think I really love the mansion stuff, and just like the sets look incredible, and just how it all plays out. I mean, there are some silly sequences, like the whole Owen going born on the security guards, and we've got this action sequence, you know, sort of running alongside like the Indoraptor going back and forth on the cage. Is a bit strange, but
I
the
love
actual
all that.
rest of it, I do love it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see why people might be put off by that kind of thing, but that, for me, that just, I don't know, there's just something with that just ticks boxes in my eyes, and I'm like, I know this is crazy. Like, he's just going full born, as you put it. I was like, well, more Indiana Jones. Like, I'm like, this feels like Indiana Jones, but that sort of stuff I actually really enjoy. I'm like, okay, I like this. I know I shouldn't, but I do. It doesn't bother me. But
I still think the score's the best score we've had, actually. The more I listen to the Fallen Kingdom score,
good.
I'm just like, so good.
I can't speak about the Dominion score because I didn't hear all of it. So all I can say is what I did hear was good, very good. Oh,
I'm really excited to listen to it when it does come out.
Yeah. What was I going to say? What were the other criticisms?
I can't remember now. It's just the usual stuff, though, isn't it? Just like how it's like sort of, I think it was it your video I watched recently? It was something about like the Maisie stuff. I think it might be.
Oh yeah, is the Maisie clone plot?
Yeah, the clone.
Is it pointless in Fallen Kingdom? And it's like,
I watched it. It's not. Yeah,
it's not. It's integral to the. It's the exact. It's the backbone of the entire plot. It's why Lockwood does what he does.
Yeah.
Or it's like it's exactly why everything plays out the way it does. But yeah, it's just I don't know. See, the thing is, I like the thing. I hate getting caught in the weeds of like opinion. Like it's one of those things where I don't know what my reputation is like in the fandom, but I've got this idea in my head that like people think I'm defending all the time, and it's like no, not really. It's more I'm just trying to clear up some misconceptions.
Yeah, like I've noticed that. Like
I don't care if people don't like it or not. I just want to make sure people get the facts right.
Yeah, I think that's what I've noticed. Actually, I don't think you come over that way at all. I think it's those misconceptions, like the whole. When was the Indominus Spawn stuff that you did that video on as a response to both Brad and Aaron?
No, that was funny. They did come back with some really good counterpoints, and we actually finished the conversation in the comments section, so it didn't actually it went to another level, but it didn't like make it into the next podcast or whatever. But I this is the thing, I like having the conversations about this because I feel like. This is, again, personal taste. I'm bored of having conversations about which design is better or how do you rank the movies. I'm like, I've had this conversation for years, and it's like, and it's like every 2 weeks you have to keep updating people. What's your ranking now? Like kind of thing. I'm like, I'm bored of this. I want to talk about, is the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3 the bull from the Lost World? Like, I want to talk about something that like turns heads where people are like, what? No. And then it's like, well, let's weigh up the evidence. Let's talk about what on-screen canon really means. Like, do you believe Stan Winston Studios, like what they say about it? Like, do you take their word for it, or this? That? Like, it goes into like a much more deeper conversation than what's your favorite dinosaur design in the movie. Like that doesn't. That all comes down to subjectiveness. I want to talk about stuff that. Raises eyebrows, and I'm not too bothered about like how controversial it is. Like I said not too long ago that like I wouldn't mind if they had human dinosaur hybrids in the Jurassic films. It's all about context. Like if they had a scene where like I don't know, Owen and Claire stumble upon a secret underground facility and they're looking under bloodied tarps on hospital beds, and like they look under one and they're like, what the hell is this thing? And there's this like horrible malformed failed experiment of a human dinosaur hybrid that's dead. You'd be like, oh god, that's so creepy, but you don't see it. Like you just get a glimpse of something that's technically a human dinosaur hybrid in a Jurassic movie, but the context for me, for my taste, I'm like, yeah, I could buy that makes sense. Someone tried it and it was horrible and failed. That doesn't mean I want to see like people parachuting out of planes with dinosaur hybrids. It's like it's always about context with everything.
I think that's the thing. I think as well, like the whole Indoraptor, sort of militarization subplot is like the artwork that came out. There's some good artwork of like the Indoraptor with it's like an army type of vest on and stuff with like grenades on it. It was like really cool artwork. Like, I really dug it.
That's
like,
the one where it's in the desert though, which is
in the desert.
Goes against what the Indoraptor was designed to do.
Yeah, I know, but it did still look cool.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
Like, it did look awesome, and I think that's the thing. I think it's the context of what things are supposed to be.
Well, that's the thing. People talk about like they've been militarized in the movies now. It's like, no, they haven't. They're, like, you've seen them trying to achieve that and failing. Like the whole, like That's like saying, oh, you know, we saw an open park in the Lost World. It's like, no, you didn't. You saw Ludlow try and open another park, and he failed. Like, they didn't have a open park in the second movie. Like, that's what I mean. I feel like the militarized dinos aspect, people complain about that being a thing in the new movies, but it's not a thing. It's an idea that some characters have, and they're trying to get it off the ground, but it's just not working. It's being sabotaged. The dinosaurs aren't paying attention. The dinosaurs aren't listening to them. You know, it's all that. I don't mind when like a crazy idea is had by someone in the universe of Jurassic, because you know that they're having crazy ideas in the real world for stuff like that. It's whether or not if they actually achieve their goal, and then you see that play out, that's where it becomes different. Like
I definitely think it's the context side of it that has to work. Like, it's the whole, like, in Alien Covenant, for me, the stuff that worked was like the whole David experimenting and finding out about like the black goo, and actually it wasn't actually him who created the alien, it was him who actually worked out, actually the engineers already figured out how to do that. He was making his own version, and it was like, I found that so fascinating, like all that really worked for me, how he was just
that worked for me. But it's also a it's a definitional thing. It's a wording mistake. So what causes that? When they say David made the alien, they're not saying he made it from like the alien from the bottom up. When they say that in interviews, they're talking about the design of the alien. So like when they say, oh, he made the alien, they're talking about one that looks like the one you recognize. And some people took that to be, oh, he made the aliens like in total, like from the beginning, like he made them. It's like, nope, that's not what happened. But also, he didn't make the aliens that we recognize, because the ones in Covenant don't look like the ones from the first film. They're like they're like prototype versions. So we're getting there, but then Disney bought Fox and the storylines ended. So David has never made the alien that we know and love, and I don't think they're ever going to show that. So I don't know what anyone's complaining about. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't get that either. I was just looking at the chat. Clayton's just hopped in and asked me a question.
Clayton, if you're about, you can jump in on this conversation. I'm inviting like people on.
I think Tom wanted to come in, didn't he, as well?
Oh, did he? Did he actually? Was he there? He said, "Where am I?" Oh, I'll bring him in. Thomas. This is where it all goes off the rails, because Tom will be like, "You guys, I've got stuff to say about Camp Cretaceous."
He will be, yeah.
Okay, let's see if he's there.
Is he there?
Lad, I'm not going to throw it off the rails, alright?
Yeah, you're right. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, yes, very good. All over the place right now. Mentally,
I feel that.
Physically.
Yeah, I am as well.
Yeah, I feel that. We are back in the office now, so I'm actually going out the house for work again, which is very surreal. But I am still podcasting and producing videos as if I can just turn my computer off at 5 o'clock and then jump straight into that kind of stuff. And it doesn't really work when you have to account for a commute and all of that kind of stuff again.
Yeah. Hey, I've been enjoying all the Jurassic collectible videos, by the way, on the channel.
Thank you, I appreciate that. They're always a lot of fun to work on. I've just that's almost terrifying. I'm like, I've got to make sure I get a good standard every time now.
No, but this is the problem. Like, I was saying this I had an interview with Dino Park Media. I don't know if you know that YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, I did an interview with him like a couple of weeks ago now. I don't think he's released it yet, but I was telling him like how I watch all his videos, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going back for it." The thing is, when me and Tim have this conversation, when we're in the position we're in with the filmmakers, we have to listen to the fans. And they're not good. Like, the filmmakers and the producers and everyone else at Universal, they have other stuff to do. They're not going to sit there and listen to they do listen to what the fans say and stuff. You know what I mean? But there's so much nuanced opinions, and like I said, there's so many different opinions out there. It's good to try and get an idea of what's being said, and try
to get a wide sample so everything's represented.
Yeah, not necessarily just so everything's represented, but so you know where like the real holes are. Like there'll be I've talked to fans in the past where like there's this channel with like 30 subscribers, and someone's on there and they've said something that's blown me away, and I've gone, oh shit, we better address this. Like, and then we've gone away and like worked on something to address it. Or there's people with like millions of subscribers who say and do the same thing. It's like, it's good to go everywhere. But like Jurassic Collectibles channel is one that I've been watching since way back in the day when David was...
Same.
Yeah, and then I didn't actually know that you two were working together until you appeared on one of his videos, but you introduced yourself as Tom from Jurassic Collectibles. I was like, oh, he's got his replacement. He's coming in.
Yeah. It's very surreal actually, because a lot of people still every now and then they're like, oh, we miss JC, and I totally get that, because like you say, I grew up with his channel as well. And I always remember, it's really funny because the first time I ever spoke to him, I was messaging him about the Lego Jeep Wrangler he did a video on, like the custom kit, and I was like, do you still have this? Do you want to sell it? And that was like my introduction to him. So I was like, oh, I love Lego so much, and now I'm at the point where I'm making all these videos with him. But it's been really nice, because I mean, I've been doing YouTube on and off since I was like 14 years old. I was doing a lot of stuff in the Halo community before I really got into Jurassic.
Yes.
And I think it's really the first thing where it's like genuinely collaborative. So we split everything that we get with the channel. If there's anything we want to cover, then we can cover that. And it's genuinely a case of just doing what we want to do with it, which is really nice. Because I think so many people, when you're working on something creative together, it's so easy to get focused on the direction that you want to go in, and you don't necessarily think about the broader picture. JC's always open to anything, and it's really, really awesome. Like tonight, I just posted
he didn't take up my offer of making loads of videos where I talk about how great Jurassic World is. He never got back to me on that. Like I said, look, I've got all these videos, I can go into the nuances on how you're wrong and this, and like, why won't you say it?
I'll have words. I'll have words.
I'm joking, I haven't done that.
The ratings for the channel would skyrocket.
I mean, I like to think that I do bring a bit of the Jurassic World flair to the channel.
No, you do, and it's good, and I think that was. Whenever I have conversations with David about Jurassic World, like I've got that in the back of my head. I'm like, no, he does. Like, I can't be too angry at the guy ever, because he does respect it, because he got you onto his channel and to give the world perspective. But I will say this, and I don't know if David will ever hear this, but I think I've told him this in the past. I am so, like, back in the day when I was watching his videos, I loved watching his review of the toys and stuff. And then when Mattel started releasing their stuff, now I don't really buy anything of it, but like I could see it and I was like, oh my god, like I can't wait to hear David's opinion on all these toys, because there's so much stuff tailored to the classic Jurassic stuff. And then he gets you on, and you're reviewing it, and I'm like, okay, I love Tom, this is great. I was like, where's Dave? I want to hear what David has to say about the Brachiosaurus toy. Like, where's that video? But I think what I should suggest, right? This is just a suggestion. You can throw it in the bin if you want, Tom. You need to do videos where you and JC are together.
Yes.
And you talk about stuff like, maybe, I mean, like in person. Like, you make a video where you're both there in the room and you're both reviewing this thing.
This is something I've been toying with him. I wanna travel to where he is at some point and record some content together, because it's so hard. We're both so busy a lot of the time that it's really hard to get our timetables to kind of align.
Yeah.
But you might have seen at Christmas we did that special Jurassic Park and Rec where we wanted both of us on to just talk about stuff, because I'm always conscious at the back of my mind that at the end of the day it's David's channel. I'm there, and yes, we say I co-own it and everything now, but at the end of the day it's still his channel. He built that reputation up, and a lot of people expect that from it. So I'm always conscious at the back of my mind that I want them to get that as well, because that's what they're there for. So we have been talking about ways that we can do some things and get him integrating more into the Mattel side of things as well, because he does have all of the Legacy collection stuff. So I was talking to him and I was like, people would really love it if you just did an overview of all of the Legacy Collection stuff you own.
That's
It
the
doesn't
thing,
have to
like-
be anything super deep, but just talk about it and give your thoughts on it. Because I think that's what people want a lot of the time. Like, yes, they like the more clinical looks at toys where we just go super try and give a really nice detailed look at them, but also they do want to hear his opinion, because that's what YouTube is at the end of the day. You subscribe to people because you like their opinion and their personality.
Well, exactly. But it's one of those things, especially with the Legacy line in particular. That's what I'm interested in hearing what he has thoughts on, because that's directly linked to the classic era, which is what he loves. So it's like that's like, I love when people are passionate about something, and that's like what he's passionate about, and this is something new from that. So I'd love to hear what his thoughts are on those specifically. Like, personally, I don't care what he thinks about like the Indominus Rex Mattel toy. That doesn't bother me. I want to hear what he has to say about the Explorer and the T-Rex and Timmy figures or stuff like that. Yeah, that's what gets me excited. But hopefully,
definitely. I think hopefully we're talking about him doing that overview video, and I think he's quite eager to do that. He's just got to dig the collection out. And then more broadly, when we both have spare time, I absolutely want us to do more content together. I want to eventually do a lot more with Park and Rec, but it's a case of getting the time for it. And I mean me, during lockdown, how I thought that I could start doing another podcast on Halo, and now trying to keep consistent with that as well. It's just like so much content every week at this point.
Impossible task. Impossible.
But I enjoy it, so it's all good.
Hey, I know you're really young, Tom, but imagine throwing a baby into the mix of that.
I have no plans on that.
That's where I am at the moment. My God.
Yep.
All this stuff going on.
I actually came prepared. I came with a conversation topic. So I'm really interested to see what you guys think moving forwards, way beyond Dominion. Let's ignore that that's on the horizon for a second. And what do you think about the idea of them using Jurassic to explore other story threads as well? So obviously we are kind of seeing that in the fact that obviously everyone now knows we're getting a prologue that's set in actual prehistoric era. But I was thinking about this the other day, and when you really, really whittle it down, everything we have had so far, in one way or another, is the saga of InGen. It's always been associated with that biogenetics company and the things they have done, which have led to events unfolding in the films. So do you think there might be other genetics companies, whether that's people like Biosyn or Manticore, or other people altogether, who are working on similar things? And are there other stories out there that could be told as we move forward? So it's less about this one company and more about the broader world around everything we already know.
I think I'll let James go first.
Right, okay, yeah. I think, well, I mean, for me, I'd like to just go back more to the novels and just mine what's left from them. I mean, because there were so many things that were sort of set up in Jurassic Park, and you have the whole thing about how Hammond had this plan to sort of do other parks like Jurassic Park Azores and Jurassic Park Japan and stuff. And so there are all those different things which I think should be mined, because then you could have that as like different stories focusing on different parks and whatnot. In terms of sort of genetics companies, again, it was set up in the novels. Like, you had Biosyn. He didn't, Christian didn't just talk about, Crichton didn't talk about just Biosyn. There were other genetics companies that were working on things as well. And, we've seen like Manticore coming into Cramped Cretaceous and now Biosyn coming back into Dominion. So it's just like, for me, those make sense. You need to like capitalize on like how many different avenues that, the story could go down. And like what me and Jack were talking about earlier, I think it's the context of it. Like what Jack was saying about the whole human dinosaur hybrids. Like, I think you probably could do that, but it's got to be contextualized in the right way for it to be viable and for people to accept it. I think it's a difficult one, because it's like, well, at the moment we know the dinosaurs are going off into the world, and it's like, well, where do you take the franchise? I mean, personally, there are quite a big, time gaps, aren't they, from JP to Jurassic World?
again, I would love to see a series on the whole Benjamin Lockwood, John Hammond relationship. I think that would be really great to see in the creation of the first dinosaur. I think it's just there for the taking, really, that story. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of opportunities. I think it's just making sure this for the franchise doesn't get stale. And making sure it has that innate quality that makes it Jurassic, so it doesn't feel like it's not what the franchise is. I think it's so it doesn't lose that character. I'll go back to. I'll let you take the floor now, Jack.
I was going to say that was a really good answer. Obviously, I have to kind of tiptoe around things, but I can say this. I have many ideas for where the stories could go, but one of the stories I've always wanted to tell, and if I ever got the chance to make a Jurassic movie, this is what I would do. It would be a story about two lawyers, who are dealing with the fallout of the San Diego incident.
Cool. Okay.
And the whole introduction of the Paleoethical Negligence Act. That whole thing we were introduced into the DPG, but it wouldn't be this. It wouldn't necessarily be aimed at kids. It would be very lore heavy. You wouldn't see many dinosaurs in the movie except for on certain footage, CCTV footage of the T-Rex rampaging around San Diego, or aerial shots of the dinosaurs on sauna, and maybe early footage from Jurassic Park. But that would be like really rough footage seen on a small TV in the courtroom. You'd never go to the islands or anything in the island thing, and it would be more a thriller inspired by Crichton's Airframe book. More like how that book's about a plane that sort of goes a bit weird in the air, and I think, if I remember correctly, like some person dies because they launch out of their seat and hit the ceiling of the fuselage on the inside of the plane. And then it's all about like that happens in the first chapter, and then the rest of the book is about this journalist who's trying to work out a story, but then they learn how the media is twisting what the airline is saying, and the airline is hiding things from the media, and they realize how, hang on, this is a lot more complicated than I first thought. And it's like the action sequences, because obviously it's got to be Jurassic, would be more like a car chase, where like you think someone, not like a car chase like Die Hard style, flying a car into a helicopter or anything, but it would be more like, think House of Cards, if you've ever seen the series House of Cards, where it's more like, I don't know, politically driven story about what's happening on the law side of things to do with these animals being out in the world, and the relationship that genetics have to the rest of humanity. That's what I would do. And it would be, kids would hate it because it wouldn't be for kids. It'd be for the 30-something-year-old fans who have been watching it since they were kids. But it would be more like, you're following these two brothers, or these two lawyers who are brothers. That's the way I was envisioning it. Who are dealing with people trying to, from InGen or Biosyn or whoever it is, trying to get them to cave in the law in the courtroom over something, which I obviously haven't come up with, but it'd have to be something that they're being held liable for, or do they release the information, that kind of stuff.
And then you could use that as like a catalyst for a big reveal at the end, which would be really cool. So I can I
just like the idea of like, questions are like, oh, would they get Malcolm and Grant in to the courtroom? And it's like, no, because this is entirely around the time after Hammond's death. Masrani, they're having the merger of Masrani and InGen is currently ongoing. So Simon is out of the picture because he's busy. He can't make it to the courtroom, and they've got like, basically the InGen board members we saw in the Lost World. You'd see more of those guys, but obviously they'd need to be recast. I mean, you don't really see them too much in the final cut of the Lost World, but you would get more like those kind of people in this movie. and it's more. It's just. I keep thinking of the scene of like Ludlow talking to Malcolm at the beginning of The Lost World, where he's like talking about how you broke your NDA, and that kind of conversation and that mood is what I'd want for an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like it.
Either that or Seabiscuit with a Gallimimus.
Oh my god!
So like a racing movie, but like I'm trying to enter this horse race, but I've got a Gallimimus. That's not a horse. Well, I don't care. She can race some. I'll show you. I'll get her out on the track. And then you see this guy riding a Gallimimus around a track with horses.
That almost sounded like Robert Muldoon there as well. I'm going to come back to this because I actually have something interesting to add to this, but I'm just going to shout out Clayton quickly. I can't believe that it's like 3 years ago at this point that we were hanging out in London. That is crazy. And to answer your question about Camp Cretaceous,
Clayton. He's Clayton.
I loved season 1. I did not like season 2. I thought season 3 was actually pretty good. I was one of the suckers who just lost my mind at the Fallen Kingdom tie-in. So that's it, really. I feel like if I look at it really closely, there's a lot of lore things that will bother me, but I feel like they did a decent enough surface level job of kind of writing around some stuff. Even though, like Jack was saying earlier, maybe those things shouldn't be written around.
It's more a case with my contention with CC is this, like that it fits into the canon for the most part. Like it fits into the canon in terms of there's nothing really contradicts what we see in the movies, right? Except for the fact that it's more arbitrary. Well, I say arbitrary, but it's kind of important. But it's more details like missing Main Street in season 1. Which would answer the kids would have been saved at that point, so they could have written something different there. Like I always like the idea if someone saw them and like, oh my god, look, there's kids over there, we should go get them, and then Toro turns up. He's there like 5 seconds later. Toro turns up and cuts off the kids from the adults again. Like there's ways of doing it, but that sort of thing, and then it's more that it's that, and then obviously the believability factor of these characters, and I personally I just don't like any of the characters. But that's more just a taste thing. Like I just don't like them. I feel like there's cooler characters that we could have been following at this point than a bunch of teenagers.
It would have been cool, seeing like maybe some park workers surviving, because you could have had people from different specialisms. So you could have had an ACU trooper who kind of knows how to work their way around the dinosaurs and deal with them, or like a vet who knows how to treat them and maybe has some basic medical skills.
You have a couple of teenagers with them. Like you can have the kids, because Jurassic's got to have kids, so you have them along for the ride. I always just think of Jess from Jurassic Park the game, and that moment where she's like, "Can I bum a smoke?" from one of the mercenaries, and I'm like, you would never get that in Camp Cretaceous. Like one of these characters asking for a cigarette. I'm like, but that's the kind of like thing I like about like the kid character in that game in particular, because I'm like, that's what makes her feel real. Like the fact that she's like, "Can I bum a smoke?" And it's like it's such a small thing, but it's like obviously they don't want to promote smoking in Camp Cretaceous. But my point is, it's like that. It's kind of that edginess to her character, which made Jurassic Park the game for me feel like something Jurassic a bit more. Like it was a bit like some adult humor in there. But the kids in Camp Cretaceous, oh well, we've got everything to get off the island. Let's have a yacht party. I'm like, no, no, just keep the story going. Get going, like get on the boat, and then we have something happen that stops you from leaving or whatever. It's like we just keep the story going. But so it's I can be really harsh on Camp Cretaceous if I wanted to be, but that's more me just having fun. Like I have fun with tearing into it, but like I would be kidding if I said I didn't have fun with it myself. Like season 3, I've said season 1, 2 and 3 in the past, they're like 3 different turds that you have. One might be really nice to have, one might be really runny, one might be horribly hard to get out.
Oh, this is not how I saw my Friday night going.
Oh, I don't know that.
So one might be like you go, okay, like the ghost poo, where you go, you do it and then you turn around and you're like, oh, I don't even need to wipe or anything. It's gone. It's just done. Jeez, I wiped, I'm done. Oh my god, ghost poo didn't even exist. Right? That was like, to me, that was Camp Cretaceous season 3. That was like that's the best they've got on offer, but it's still a shit at the end of the day. Camp Cretaceous season, you get my analogy. I'm joking around here, but it's like the idea is like I don't enjoy the series as something that can be taken as hard canon, but I still have fun with the series. Like I still like watching it. Like I did binge watch season 3 and 2 when they came out on the days they came out. Of course, it's Jurassic, and I want to know what's happening. But yeah, that's where I stand. Like if it wasn't hard canon or meant to be considered hard canon, I'd be a lot less harsh on it, just because. To me, it does really feel like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like I could very easily imagine this looking like in the same sort of style as like the New Adventures of Johnny Quest, that kind of thing. Yeah. Like if it was in that style and it was on Saturday morning, or the Mummy cartoon, if you ever seen that, like the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, they had a cartoon series. Like if it was done in that style in the 90s and it had exactly the same thing as we see in the series, then great, I'd love it. But I think the fact that they're trying to tie it so close to the movies, there's a disconnect for me personally there, especially as someone who's also written parts of the canon. I'm like, okay, well, there's a world being set up here, and it seems like that this is kind of not going against it in terms of like specific plot points or anything, as I've mentioned, but more like you're dealing with the Jurassic world where Ben fights Toro off with a stick on his own, and then Owen is facing one down in Fallen Kingdom, and you're like, well, what's Owen scared of?
Is Owen not getting the stick? Yeah,
it's kind of like that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think some of it, like you say, it has that quality of being a kids' cartoon, where I think they did a good job with season 1 and season 3 of reining it in a little bit more. But season 2, like, there's a lot of sequences, I think, through in that, where, like, you've got obviously the huge Michael Bay moment as they're all leaving the vehicle storage depot and the baryonyx are looking away from the explosion. You've got the fight with Ben and Toro, like you say. And there's a couple of other moments. I think can't think of his name. But the mercenary Hap, the fight that he has with the 3 baryonyx, where he like slides off of the bike and takes on this like superhero pose. I think it's moments like that that just pull me out of it. And I think that's probably why I've got a better opinion of season 3, because I felt like it dialed that back in.
Yeah, it definitely did do that. Yeah, 100% it did that. There's no denying that. It did pull all those sort of aspects backwards.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to that expanded canon talk that we were having a moment ago as well, because I feel like where we are now in the franchise is very, very interesting, because I think there is a lot of scope for kind of what you were talking about, Jack, different genres to now be included in Jurassic. So
it's a dangerous game to play, though. It's a dangerous game to play because it can go off the rails very quickly as soon as comedy enters into the arena.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So I think it needs to be balanced. I think it's weird. I'm gonna list off a couple of different ideas here. I'll give you 3 different ideas, 3 examples of kind of different genres, so you can see how they could work. I think the first is, if they want to go through the horror route, they're perfectly set up to do something that's a little bit more mature in the current Jurassic universe. So they could easily do something like a novel retelling, but instantly, when you think about the dinosaurs that are now out in the world, there's lots of them that could mimic horror movies quite well. So a good example I always think of is something like a baryonyx in a sewer. Imagine if there was that in like a rural town, people were going missing and people get sent in to hunt it. It would be like one of those really, really creepy monster films. I do have an example in my head, but I can't think of what I'm thinking of. But I think that could work. then going to the complete polar opposite end.
I'm just imagining someone flushing a baby baryonyx down the toilet.
Yeah.
And then like it grows up in the sewers. I think there's a film
It's
called
like
Alligator from
augmented
the
and
80s
things.
which does that.
Yeah.
Just imagining like the storyline being like Pennywise in It, and it's just like in the sewer, and it's just like
That's what I'm thinking of actually when they go down in the sewers in It.
yeah.
I can just see that being really cool. And the thing is with stories like that, if you do them in a different genre, you can still have connective tissue throughout. And that connective tissue could be the US Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, because obviously they're in the motion comics. Their logo is in the Jurassic World Evolution 2 trailer. If you pause it at the right moment, Frontier will hate me for saying that, but there you go. And
they're not watching
I
this,
think,
don't worry.
I think you could easily connect it up as maybe having some shared characters across different properties who are responding to these incidents that are happening in the real world. So maybe you have these characters who are getting hunted by this baryonyx, but at the end the department turns up and they handle the situation, so then that can feed back into the
So
wider
you're
narrative.
basically pitching the Shield, Marvel's
Yes.
Shield of the
Yes.
Jurassic universe. Right?
Let's make it happen.
I was
didn't-
thinking if they were like a Ghostbusters, like they were like a private just group of people who decided to do this themselves.
Oh, you
and
could do
a
that as
startup
well.
company, and it was like, you know, they're kind of haphazard in their methods because they're like they don't really know what they're doing.
I mean, you could easily do something like that as well, because then you could have the really meta nod of like somebody who thinks they know everything about dinosaurs, and then they come up to an InGen dinosaur and they're like, "Oh crap, it's nothing like the real one. I don't know what I'm doing," and all of that kind of stuff could be fun.
There you go.
So
Paolo in the chat just said the Dino Trackers with T-Rex Turner.
I'm in. I'm sold. Then on the complete polar opposite end, obviously comedy is a really, really fine line. So do it with something in universe rather than it being super meta. Do like a mockumentary set in Jurassic World. So it's like a documentary of what happens in the park on a day-to-day basis. So you can have lots of different things as a part of that. You can have some paleo history, giving accurate facts about the animals and kind of countering some of the misinformation that maybe is sometimes perpetrated by Jurassic. But also you could have some comical things. You could again have some more serious things if you have people like the ACU. It would just be a really interesting way of letting people who have wanted to see more of Isla Nublar explore more of it. Because I think even when you look at Camp Cretaceous, there's a lot of the island that it still didn't explore that is on the park maps, which I find really, really interesting, because it means that there is still scope there to do
I'm
something there in
surprised
the
they haven't
future.
gone for a pool party at the massive water park that's down on Main
But that's
Street.
the thing.
Yeah.
I saw some concept art of a Suchomimus in like a swimming pool ages
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
It was some Jurassic art somebody made, and I'm like,
I think
why
that was-
they
I
didn't
think
do
that was-
something like
I
that?
think that was actually concept art for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
they didn't go back and do something like that here was really, really peculiar to me.
Yeah.
I really like all of the feedback that's coming in the chat. Like
I know, it's
Inside a
great.
Zoo with Jurassic is exactly what I'm thinking, Mike.
Yeah, mockumentary would be like the perfect in for that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
It would let you like spend a little bit more time with the animals, because
You
I
just
think
wouldn't want it
that's
to become. You wouldn't want it to become like, I don't know, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
yeah.
If you've seen that, you don't want it to go that crazy. You
No,
want it to be
no.
more Parks and Rec, or maybe like The Office, like the
Yeah.
the British Office, but maybe even not that comedic. Like maybe tailor it back a little bit more. You want it to be like the characters are funny. Like I always imagine it like Napoleon Dynamite. If you've ever seen that movie is a hit or miss with people. You either don't get it or you get it because you just, the characters are what the comedy, just the way they are.
Yeah.
That's the way it would work in Jurassic. It'd have to be that they're the characters, the way they are just funny, even though they don't think they're funny. But you have to make sure you don't ride run into the same problem the Kirby's ran into.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a Kirby situation.
I would have Lowry like lead it, so you'd have him
exactly.
like take him out from the office for a few hours and be like, oh, we'll go and explore the park and meet these different people. And then you just have like different funny events happen, but they're not meant to be funny, like that type of comedy. So yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Also, you could then use it to kind of reintegrate some of the stuff that didn't make it into Jurassic World's final cut. So maybe they do an interview with Hamada talking about his background as a SWAT team leader, for example. I think there could be a lot of fun directions to take that in.
The problem with that is how are you imagining that coming out? Like, because obviously the actors get older and stuff. Are you imagining it as like a proper film, or are you imagining it like a book, or like?
It'd probably be, if I'm honest,
like
I think Universal are going to go for Peacock. I think it would be like a streamlined, a streaming series, yeah.
Right. I mean, we're just playing make-believe here, aren't we? No, a mockumentary wouldn't work as a book, but like, I'm just saying, like, my mind then starts to go, is this doable? But then it's like we're just having fun, so it's just like, what if? Yeah.
No, honestly, Jack, go down the if it's doable route, and if it is, give me a call. And then lastly, and this is just childhood Tom talking, but again, going back to the idea of this department now dealing with dinosaurs in the world, I would love a show like Primeval, where it's just a serialized format, a group of characters every week, just like Dino Trackers, which was suggested, dealing with animals in the real world, because you could have so many interesting examples, and you could also paint in an element of human antagonists as well, with maybe rogue companies trying to capture these animals and contain them and that kind of stuff. I feel like with Fallen Kingdom's ending being so open, kind of really does blow the doors off in terms of the fact that you could do anything. So you could have some really, really interesting scenarios. And I just think that kind of thing, to me personally, in something like a film, it's always going to be really fleeting, and you're always going to get a few action sequences and set pieces, but that will be it for that animal a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So if you look at like the Sinoceratops in Fallen Kingdom, its main sequence is licking Owen's face, and then we don't really see it again. So it would be a nice opportunity to actually spend more time with those animals and give them all unique scenarios that really bring out their characteristics.
Yeah.
I just think that would work really well for Jurassic as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like how, the Gallimimus in Jurassic Park was in one scene where it just runs along as a stampede and gets eaten by the T-Rex, and then you have that moment in Camp Cretaceous. I'm going to big up Camp Cretaceous here. At that moment where Darius goes to touch a Gallimimus, and he's like trying to do, like, I liked that sequence because it was like he's trying to do meet his dad's favorite dinosaur, and it tied back into that storyline that I liked. And then he found like the dead one with the thing. Yeah, designs aside. Just saying that dinosaur had its moment. Like, we haven't really had that. That dinosaur hasn't had that kind of moment in the series. Yeah. Ever. It's just been the one that runs in the background.
It's that's where I think Universal, as they continue to grow the franchise and continue to look at other mediums, I think it's so important that other mediums are used to explore things that we don't get to explore in the films, because that's what ultimately makes it stand out, and that's what will keep fans coming back for that kind of stuff. So those are my 3 ideas. If any of the dragons in the chat would like to put money towards the ideas, I will now stand here and accept any questions for my Dragon's Den pitch.
Oh no. I've just realised that the whole first half of this stream, where I was painting a particular picture, I've just found the frame finished. I've already done that frame. Why have I repainted one of the it wasn't that much work, but like, I've already done it. It's finished. It's in the bag. Why didn't I double check? Oh my god.
The conversation got so good you got distracted. It's fine. It happens.
Yeah. This was like really at the start of the stream. I was like, oh my god. What have I done? My brain.
£20 for a JW mockumentary. I can make it happen.
How would a musical work in the Jurassic universe?
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
That's the genre. You're gonna go there.
Oh. Thinking.
We got to think. I think it's doable.
I mean, there's some interesting ways you could go. It depends on how you define musical. Because I'm gonna
What if
bring
I
up one
told
of
you my lawyer pitch is a musical?
Feel like I've heard this before actually, and I think it could work.
So my
Feel
my
like you've
pitch
mentioned
is
this before.
my pitch is that one of the brothers
Yeah.
is I haven't pitched this before, by the way. One of the brothers has a fiance who works in the theatre.
Okay.
So every now and then in the movie, he goes to the theatre to watch her, and she's singing on stage.
Okay.
So it's a show, it's a musical in the universe of Jurassic, but the film will periodically take you there because what she's singing about is important to the overall story you're watching. So it's like when you say, how do you get a cartoon in the Jurassic Park series, and then you cut to the Mr. DNA sequence. Like the camera, they're watching it on screen, but then the film, it fills your monitor up. So for like 2 minutes of Jurassic Park, you're watching an actual cartoon, or at least then it cuts to live footage. But you know what I mean.
I'm gonna blow your mind here, Jack. Could do that, or why don't you rework the original novel so it's done in a musical drama format similar to Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds?
That would be cool. I see what you're saying. So it's like an audio book.
Yeah. It's the music painting the scenes a lot of the time. And then you just occasionally have Nedry screaming.
The chances of anything coming from sauna was 1,000,001, they said.
That was surprisingly in tone. I'm impressed.
The chances of anything coming from sauna was 1,000,000 to 1. But look, there's the bull T-Rex running down San Diego High Street.
I think we might need to refine the lyrics a little bit, but there's
maybe.
definitely a strong start there.
Okay, so I finished this frame. Now I need to know what I'm trying to match lighting, but I can't. But I'm still dumbfounded by the fact that I just painted a whole character and spent time on that and getting it all ready and changed another character, and then I've already done the bloody frame already.
Right, I am probably going to tap out at this point and head off to watch Loki, because that is going to be my little bit of me time for this week after a hectic week. This has been fun, and I will try and tap in for more of them. I know that people are always doing stuff like this and I'm never there, but I'm honestly always doing stuff at the moment. But hopefully towards the end of the summer things will quieten down a little bit.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
It's good to have you on, Tom. It's can't remember the last time I actually had you on the channel.
I can't remember either.
I know it was one Jurassic June. I think it was me, you, and Chris Pugh had a random conversation. We just chatted and recorded it and then released it as like just a random fan conversation for Jurassic June. I think you've been on since then. That was.
I think I did one of the watch-alongs, or I might have done two of them. I can't remember which ones they were.
Tom, you came on with Mike and Brad, didn't you? Like an hour, and like you've all jumped on at one point a while ago, didn't we, to discuss something? I think
so.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can barely remember last week at this point. But yeah, well, I will try and pop in again soon, but it's been fun. And I hope everyone watching enjoys the rest of the stream as well. Thank you for letting me ramble about theories for a little bit, which is clearly what I do best.
You keep doing it, Tom.
I will.
And,
take care, guys.
Yeah,
you too.
See you soon. Bye.
Have fun. Bye.
Oh man,
that was really good. There's so many great ideas from Tom.
I know, he's an idea machine.
He is indeed.
He's one of the busiest people I know as well.
Yeah, I
Always
know. I
doing stuff.
messaged him a while ago. It was just like I don't know how he keeps up with it all, like all the podcasts and stuff and the articles and everything.
But the thing is, he always brings the same energy as well. So
He
it's kind of
does,
like
yeah.
it's amazing how he never lets you guess how busy he is. Like you always feel like he's put everything, all his passions and everything into the thing he's concentrating on right now. It's a good it's a good mentality to have. I can tell you that, because Lord knows there's been times where I've been tired and then I've shown it. Like I'm just going
Yeah. It's sort of easy to do, really. I know I've done that a few times on the missing compies. It's just like I'm so tired. It's just like we're recording at 11 o'clock at night, and there's so much to talk about, and it's just like I'm half dead.
Yeah. I want to come on the missing compies at some point.
Yeah,
Especially when you
good,
do Camp Cretaceous stuff. Because I feel like I can let rip.
There's just so much to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah.
I forgot to answer Clayton's question.
What did he say?
It was just about my views on the paleontology, if I can find it.
I'll do it. Yeah, go for
it. Hey James, as a paleontologist, what do you think about the Dominion reveals so far? So yes, when it first got announced about the feathers with the image, looking at the design of Morris Intrepidus, I really like it. I really like the feathers. I really like the patterning. I like the design. So like we've got sort of the feathers are quite downy, sort of like pinnate feathers. I just really like it. I know the information that came out, obviously it's set 65 million years ago. That doesn't really make much sense to me, because we know obviously the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction was 66 million years ago, so that is supposed to take place after, which is a bit odd. But again, there's a few inconsistencies, isn't there, with the dinosaurs?
Wait. Just to interrupt, what's meant to take place after?
Well, I think it's the Paleogene, so it's the
I need to clear this.
It's after the dinosaurs have disappeared, basically.
So this is set after the dinosaurs have disappeared.
Yeah, it's set a year after. Yeah. So time-wise, they've kind of.
So 65 million years ago, there wasn't dinosaurs. They were all dead.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what. Yeah. Okay.
Geological time. Yeah.
I've got more what you're saying now, because earlier when you brought this up, I was a bit confused, but I didn't want to show. And then you said it again. And I was like, okay.
It is confusing anyway. It's like geological time. The further back you go, it actually it's later, and then obviously.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, earlier it's earlier, so it's it is quite confusing. And also, obviously, the dinosaurs as well that they've brought in. Obviously, they all are from the Cretaceous, but of course they're from the different subdivisions of the Cretaceous. And I think that's I can see why a lot of paleontologists have got a bit riled up about it, because obviously we know that the Giganotosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus didn't exist at the same time, and there's about 31 million years between them. And I can really understand that, but then we also know that it's a story decision, and the fandom have been calling for the Giganotosaurus to appear for a long time anyway. So to be honest, I'm not too bothered by the meeting. I suppose I'm a bit more niggled by the other dinosaurs they've decided to include, like the Dreadnoughtus, and I think there's gaps between obviously the other dinosaurs as well, like Iguanodon. And like I was talking to Chris Pugh a while ago, and he was saying about how he actually, he would prefer if it was the dinosaur designs that the dinosaurs that were of that time. But it is difficult, and I can understand why they may have just picked those dinosaurs. I mean, Dreadnoughtus kind of was set up at the end of Fallen Kingdom with the the DNA box and stuff.
That was actually in Jurassic World as well. Not many people know that.
Was it on the holographic thing?
It's the holographic world that they're playing with in the Innovation Center, and like one of the hologram is of a sauropod, and if you read it says Dreadnoughtus. So they've been, you can even see what they kind of look like as well. They've been in there from the beginning.
So they've been setting stuff up. So, I think it is a creative decision, and I get like when I asked Colin on the Twitter thread, and then Steve I actually asked Steve, because I was like, well, Steve had a lot of input, and he was like, he hadn't really had much of an input overall. I think he was basically saying, it's Colin's creative decision. and he's just given his advice basically, and that's understandable. But I find the massive backlash to it quite strange, really, because it just there's a lot of things to get upset about within the films, but again, it's just like I'm just really excited to see that era of time in the franchise for the first time ever, and also the fact that dinosaurs are going to be, some of them are going to be fully feathered. Like, I'm not really too fussed about, you know, whether the dinosaur is completely feathered or not. I know a lot of people have commented about the fact that the Cretaceous T-Rexes shouldn't have feathers because, you know, we know it didn't. And again, that's more evidence now that has backed that up, that we know that the adults didn't have feathers and the younglings did.
That was actually a question I wanted to ask you, as what your thoughts on the T-Rex having feathers. But well, you've just answered it. So.
Yeah, I mean, we know Tyrannus had feathers, and obviously, you know, it's an Asian Tyrannosaurid, and I think, like, I don't mind, you know, looking at from what I've seen, and obviously I'll hopefully get a better look when the actual footage gets released online, but they're integumentary structures, they're like sort of pycnifer, you know, sort of feathers, really, more like quills on the back and stuff. It's like a coating, and it, like, I really like the design. I think that's the thing. I like the design. It makes the Rex look good. I'm not too bothered by it. You know, it's a design choice. I think it's like sort of questioning, well, why sort of like the raptors are coloured a certain way or whatever, like in the past. I mean, I know they're the InGen ones anyway, and they're not 100% pure and stuff, but I mean, it's just a creative decision. I think people can get a bit too uppity about it, a bit more too nitpicky as well, because it's not supposed to be a documentary. It's a science fiction film. It's fiction.
Well, that argument then becomes a little bit harder when they're like, "This is set 65 million years
I know
ago."
it does.
Like, it's not meant to be a documentary. Oh, okay. So we're going to spend 5 minutes watching just dinosaurs be dinosaurs. Like, yeah.
I do
understand. A harder conversation to have.
I do understand the backlash. Like, I do really understand it, but at the same time,
think car enthusiasts get angry over the Fast and Furious movies?
I do. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, well, and also like how things work in just other films. Like, how does space work in a certain film? Like,
I know Neil deGrasse Tyson complains about sci-fi movies on his Twitter, or not complains, but he'll poke holes in all the missteps that science have made. But like, they are out there, and I know they do exist for other fandoms and stuff. But I feel like because dinosaurs they're such an unknown, and so okay, you probably read what I said in the group when we were chatting the other day about the Giga and my thoughts on it. My thoughts are like that you can tell me if you think this is all horse shit, by the way, because I don't know anything. But like, I look at the dinosaur era as we've barely scratched the surface of what we actually know. Like, I can't remember where this comes from, but there's like that saying that goes around that says, like, you know, that all of living life, like 1% of everything that's ever lived is alive today. It was like 1%. So 99% of it is extinct. And, you know, us humans, we've been on this planet how long? Like, a modern man has been on the planet, I don't know, I'm just going to use the 1 million years. Okay?
Yeah,
let's say since the first man evolved, about 1 million years, right? It might even be less than that. More than likely is, actually. But my point is that dinosaurs were on the planet for 250 million years, right? The dinosaurs were on the planet for that long, and each period had God knows how many different species rose and fall in those times that we'll never know about, because we'll never find their fossils, because they're just gone. They're completely gone from the history books. You know, think about ancient Egypt, or what we know about the ancient Egyptians. It's a fair amount, but we don't know what the pyramids were for. We actually just don't know exactly what they were about. That's being speculated, and that's 4,000 years ago. So whenever I hear all these huge paleo debates about what dinosaurs were like, what was actually going on, tangible evidence like what you do with your job, where you actually go into the fossils and where real scientists make real discoveries, like that sort of stuff is is fascinating to me. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but there's still this element, this huge vastness of unknown, that means that's where I don't really care if movies embellish that, because I'm like, that's their job, is to embellish that, because we don't know what it's really like. So I said in the group the other night, I was like, oh, is there any chance that a giga species could survive like sharks did, or like alligators have done over millions of years, like that, like practically unchanged, to meet a T-Rex? And I think I got shut down by Chris. He was just like, no. And I was like, well, I don't know if we do know. Like, I don't know. So it's like, for me to suspend my disbelief, so I'm just imagining in the world of Jurassic, that is what happened. Like that, the giga species is just so happens to be one that survived that long, like relatively unchanged to the gigas we know. You know? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I think that's the thing as well. It's like today because I've been trying to chase up on finding like other hadrosaur dentaries, like to measure. And I'm looking for the information just online as to like even some of the hadrosaur, like a couple of these hadrosaurs that I was looking at today actually were a species. You know, they were thinking it was a subspecies of another one, but they can't confirm that it actually is. And it's just like there's so many. It's all based on certain attributes that are on the fossil, you know, the fossil has or whatever. And it's just like, well, we don't. Is this part of this species, or are we identifying it as a new one? And it's just like, well, there's this contention within paleontology anyway as to like whether certain dinosaurs belong to the same species based on
it's like
the certain paleontological
and
attributes.
Stygimoloch, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, when people say, "Oh, well, it's got to be really accurate," I mean, paleontology hasn't really been accurate anyway. When you look back at throughout paleontology's history, it's always been changing. Our views on how Iguanodon looked has changed massively.
Isn't it amazing?
The past 100 years.
This is the thing, right? Isn't it amazing? This is what just not to get too sidetracked here, but I always find it amazing that how much they actually got right with those initial. You know, the Megalosaurus and the Iguanodon. Like, everyone will mock them for being like how wrong they are, and you know, it doesn't look anything like this. But they actually got like a fair amount. They did a pretty damn good guess based off the limited amount of bones that they had.
And again, they did the same thing which we still do now, which is comparing it to the animals that are alive today. You know,
exactly.
Back then they thought they were big iguanas because that's what they knew was around.
Yeah,
it's just like,
and they thought it was a quadruped, and then it became a biped, but now it's a quadruped and a biped. So it's like, well, they got one aspect right. Like, in it's all the way. It's all perspective. It's all how you look at it. Like when I see people back in the day making guesses about dinosaurs, and it, like, you know, some of the stuff you can laugh at today, but some of it I think really deserves some respect because of the amount that they seem to get right. You know, the T-Rex for one, like aside from obviously head shape and standing upright, there's still a lot they got right in terms of how the T-Rex was depicted back in the day. Like I've seen pictures from like the 70s where they've depicted it scavenging off things, and like it's not just this killing machine that can do anything. So they do try and treat them like animals, even if they were walking upright and like being, you know, all that sort of stuff.
It is. I mean, it is interesting. Like just like because obviously I was reading the papers and stuff for my exams and everything, and there was that paper that came out that was looking at basically the walking speed of T-Rex and everything. And this is the thing. A lot of these papers, I mean, a lot of it is all, you know, a lot of paleontology is all hypotheses and then backing that up with evidence. And it is really interesting because there's so many different papers on how fast T-Rex might have moved. We now think it might have moved between running up to 15 to 20 miles per hour, which isn't very fast at all, really. But then, really, would it need to be running that fast anyway? If it's an ambush predator, probably not. So it's like, well, and I think that's the thing. Like I was reading the papers about Spinosaurus as well, because obviously Spinosaurus, you know, that paper came out saying about Spinosaurus having like its tail being like very similar to like a newt, and it used its tail to swim back and forth, and it was mainly aquatic. And then there was a paper, I think it was by David Evans and was it Thomas Holtz, who then completely contradicted that paper that had come out. And they said, "Oh, based on this evidence, we don't think this paper's accurate because ecologically, there's evidence for Spinosaurus eating on land as well, so it can't be fully aquatic." And they were putting forward all this other evidence as well.
Now imagine being a filmmaker trying to make a movie that has to contain a Spinosaurus at the time that conversation is happening in the paleo.
Exactly. It's very difficult, isn't it? Because it's like, well, we want to be accurate, but then there's a lot of controversy around this animal anyway. So which paper do we believe? Like, whose view do we take on board for this?
You have to
and what's
pick one.
the right perspective? Yeah.
That's funny because like I had someone come and watch all of the Dino-Defender episodes, and they were making comments underneath each video about how paleo inaccurate the series is. And they said, why? They asked me like, why did you design it like this? And I said, because I thought it looked cool. That's it. I'm bizarre. Yeah. These dinosaurs aren't in any way, shape, or form meant to be looked at as accurate. This is my version of dinosaurs based on what I like the look of, and if you don't like that, then fair enough. I don't care. Like, this series is mine. Like I said, if you want to go and make your own series with paleo accurate dinosaurs, I'll help you. I'll be there. I'll be like supporting you from the sidelines. Go do it. But until you do it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make mine. So it's that's what it comes down to from the creative perspective, and that's how I kind of imagine Colin. I don't want to put words in the man's mouth, but that's how I imagine him kind of seeing it. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and if I get lynched for it, so be it. Like,
yeah, I think like Clayton's just asked me another question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, in a minute. Just
Mike Farm says, "Yeah, Jack, where are the feathers?" Hey, I don't want feathers on my dinosaur. Well, actually, tell a lie. You just wait. You just wait and see what's coming.
Yeah. So Clayton's asked me about whether I know a colleague who has what's it say? Finding a dinosaur as complete as the raptors in JP1 and JP3. So yeah, I don't actually know really. Know anybody who might have done. I know Mike, my supervisor. There was loads of. I mean, Mike's paper. He did a paper back in 2010 looking at the feathers of Sinosauropteryx, and they were looking at the melanosomes, which is basically the feather colorization, and basically they identified feather colorization in the feathers, which basically suggested that the feathers were sort of gingery reddish, and that paper contradicted a couple of other papers that came out where it was really funny reading it, because it was like there was a couple of papers that one paper was put forward with no evidence whatsoever. It was just like, oh, we're putting forward the idea that Sinosauropteryx had scales, but they didn't provide any evidence to back it up. And then there was another paper as well that sort of said the integumentary structures on Sinosauropteryx was, what was it now? They were trying to make out it was something else, not feathers. I think they were trying to make out it was some sort of collagen. And then Mike did this paper with colleagues in China, and I think at Bristol. And they looked at the actual the fossil, and they identified feathers and the colorization. And I think that was like the first. That it was Sinosauropteryx and Anchiornis, and they were like looking at those. But as far as I'm aware, I haven't really heard of anybody anyone at Bristol really. Like the only person I can think of really is Steve Brissati, because he identified a new fossil in China, I think it was. I've got the information somewhere. They were looking at, what was it called? It was a feathered dinosaur. It was a Dromaeosaurus called Zenulong sunai, and it's a close cousin of Velociraptor, and that was identified in China back in 2013.
I remember that.
I
remember that. I don't remember how to pronounce the name, but I remember seeing that in the news.
Yeah, so it was a lived 125 million years ago. But yeah, I mean, fossils, like new discoveries. I mean, I'm trying to think now. I know Jakob Winter, who's one of my lecturers on the Cambrian module. He's found quite a few. It's not a dinosaur. It's like a early Cambrian life. So it's like Animaclarid. Can't remember what it's like. Panarthropod, I think. I'm trying to remember now. It was like one of them anyway, and he discovered like a new one. Well, he was looking. I think he was looking at the feed, at how they fed basically, because some of them have been filter feeders, and they were looking at that relationship.
Right.
So there's been quite a few people at Bristol. I know Liz Martin Silverstone. She does a lot of work on pterosaurs. I think she's got a new paper coming out with Mark Whitten on pterosaur. I think that's I can't remember. I think that one's been in development for a while. So I mean, there's a lot of people at Bristol working on lots of different things.
What's like an average day for you guys?
Well, I mean, I'm at the moment doing work from home because of things have changed.
But like, imagine COVID wasn't happening. Like, what was your usual day? Like, you go to a building and
yeah. So
how
like
does it work? Give us an insight into that.
Before COVID, on my masters, I was going to I had set lectures, and I've got the list of lectures somewhere, because the course that I'm doing has been quite full on. So I was doing the modules I was doing was one of my optional ones were sort of vertebrate paleobiology and biomechanics, the Cambrian explosion, geology for paleobiologists, and evolutionary biology. And then there was the mandatory modules, which were current controversies. And then there was a couple of sort of current controversies within paleontology.
Does it just have in big capital red letters Jurassic World Dominion opening?
No, it doesn't. Probably will do in the future though. Yeah, so there was set modules, obviously the thesis and stuff, and then we had which I'm on now, and a couple of other things as well. But yeah, basically the course covers everything. So you're looking past. I mean, the Cambrian module covers up to a good couple of billion years ago. So it's we're covering all of evolutionary history, and it's a mixture of both paleontology and biology. So we're not just cover dinosaurs, but we're also covering the biology of animals, not just living today, but past animals as well. So not just dinosaurs, but animals from the Permian, synapsids, therapsids, pelycosaurs.
What's a pelycosaur?
Dimetrodon's one of them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean,
see, that's something in my series, and I didn't even know.
It's basically it's all to do with the reptile sort of lineage, mammal and reptile sort of lineage, and how they've developed out of each other. Basically, it's all to do with the evolutionary history. So it can be quite confusing, and that's the thing as well. Like, you think evolutionary history is just vast anyway, but then I was looking at for the Cambrian module stuff to do with annelids and hemichordates and stuff like that, and chordates and echinoderms and everything, and it gets confusing because it's all early life, and then you're looking at bilateria and stuff and demisponges and everything, so it gets quite confusing. So yeah, it's fascinating. The modules and stuff are really interesting.
Yeah.
But
what's the favorite aspect of it? What's the moment that you sit there and you start bobbing your head because you're like, yeah, I'm in it now. This is why I do this. What's that moment for you? What does?
Well, I'm still on the course at the moment, and obviously because I've come in because of COVID and stuff, I took time off, and I've come back now to focus on my thesis and finishing off my exams. So I think it was mostly the dinosaur stuff, really. I was just really when we were doing the biomechanics stuff was really interesting. When Emily Ferrayfield, who's one of the professors at Bristol, she was talking about the biomechanics, looking at doing FAA studies on Tyrannosaurus skulls, looking at how they ate, the biting pressure and stuff, and looking at Allosaurus, how the jaws moved. It was all really interesting stuff. And then Mike Benson, who gave his lectures on dinosaurs, that those lectures were fantastic, and it was just sort of going back over, covering everything. I mean, looking at sort of the evolutionary history of dinosaurs, bird origins, different groups of dinosaurs.
Was there anything that they said that you would be like, I don't agree with
that? I think there's a lot
or did they actually? Here's a better way of questioning that, answering that question. Was there anything that they said which would contradict the person you heard before? So you'd get like this mixture of opinions. Like, did someone come in and go, the T-Rex was a scavenger, and then next week, the T-Rex wasn't a scavenger? Like, did you have anything like that?
Not really. Like, I think it's interesting. Like, for me, as like someone who's got, as a person of faith, being a practicing Catholic, it's very interesting seeing other people's views who don't hold the same view as me. And I think that's the thing. Like, I've noticed there's been I suppose a lot of people within paleontology are very critical of religion. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, I don't mind having the debates and stuff, but I find that interesting. Like, some people may have like this weird view of like creationists and stuff like that, and it's just like, well, I don't believe that anyway. But it's just like it gets like I think there's like a negative view of it.
They're like, why are you studying a thing that you don't think exists? And it's like,
it's like that whole.
Do you not understand how the
science of faith is? Yeah, exactly.
You don't know how the religious text works.
Yeah. So I think it's like I remember, what was it? I mean, it was really I found it strange just working with Mike when I did my internship, because I was working on a fossil site at Vallis Vale, which was the internship which led me to get onto the masters. And I was looking at sort of microvertebrates, and I was looking at chondriichthyans and osteichthyans, so looking at early Triassic fish and sharks that we found there. And it was really, really surreal and really nice, because Mike actually drove me down to the field site, and I was just sat next to him and got to chat to him about what it's like, being a paleontologist, and like why he wanted to go into that field and stuff. And it was surreal, because I'm sat next to the guy who he's worked on Walking with Dinosaurs. He's the consultant on it. And
did he give you a speech about astronauts and astronomers?
No, he didn't.
Right.
But it was just really, really nice just to hear why he was so passionate about it, and how he got into that field. And he's done so much for the field of paleontology. He's recently got an OBE, which is pretty amazing. And he's worked all over. He worked with Phil Curry back in the 80s over in Alberta. Like, he worked with him for a while in field work.
Well-established guy.
And then he's worked in China. Like, a lot of his work's based in China, really, looking at the fossils over there and everything, and looking at Triassic life. So yeah, I mean, it's just been a pleasure just to work alongside him and to have him as my supervisor. But I think the catalyst for when I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying it, was just like being in that environment where these people are actually studying it, and they're so knowledgeable, and they're talking about it, and they're so passionate about it as well. I think that's when the penny drops, and you're like, this is for me. This is where I want to be. This is like where I want to work, like the type of environment that I want to work in, because I want to work in a museum one day.
So is that where you ultimately want to see yourself? You want to be in a in a museum?
I definitely want to be.
The one thing that pains me, and I don't know if they actually do this or not, but the one thing that pains me is whenever I walk around the Natural History Museum in London, like the dinosaur section, I always feel like, obviously, it always seems like it's under bloody construction, so it's all
yes.
But at the same time, I'm like, why have they not got guides, like tour guides around this specific section talking about things?
I know Connor O'Keefe is one of the volunteers there, and me and Tom Jurassic, because Tom organised it was a Jurassic World Evolution fan meetup a good few years ago.
Yes, I was meant to come to that, by the way, and then I completely forgot.
Yeah,
not tell a lie. I didn't forget. I was busy, but like
I managed to go, and that was really great. And Connor was one of the museum assistants there, and I got to meet him, and he works in the Natural History Museum. I haven't really asked him much about his role, actually. I need to ask him the next time I chat to him. But I mean, I noticed that a couple of times when I've been there before, there weren't really any guides as much sort of showing you around. But something that I noticed last time was that the dinosaur skeletons really needed cleaning. And because it was so filthy, like the Gallimimus skeleton was just covered in dust. And I think, thankfully, over COVID, they have taken the time to actually take the skeletons down and stuff. You've obviously got to be very careful, but
so are they the actual bones, or the most of them?
Some of them,
yeah, are going to be. Like...
Some of them are. I mean, when I went over to the Isle of Wight a good couple of years ago at that museum, they had a lot of the fossils were obviously in glass cases and stuff.
I always kind of think that. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I think it can be quite difficult to take the time to clean because they've got to be prepared and cleaned in a certain way. And so I think that's the thing with museums. It's having that time. Obviously, they're open all the time for the most part, and they're relying on donations as well. They're not, they're publicly funded. So
yeah, this
is the thing. I think it can be quite difficult to have like the staff to do it. But
I always feel like that the museums with dinosaur skeletons, they should have the real bone be as it is, but the rest of the skeleton that they add around it should be coloured like red, so you know what part is the real fossil and what isn't.
Yeah.
And what's like and then on the little plaque it says the parts in red, because they bring together different parts from all over the world, don't they, to construct the whole animal, so you can get the whole look at it. But I feel like they kind of need to. It would change the people's perspective on what people know about dinosaurs. So like people will see a skeleton of a T-Rex in a museum or an Allosaurus or whatever, and they will then assume, I'm talking about the average person here, will assume that the reconstruction of the T-Rex with its skin and everything is how it is and everything. But they don't realise that like half the bones they're looking up on the ceiling are guesswork, because we're guessing based on patterns in the bone structure or parts that we had from the other side of the world that another fossil has, and all that sort of stuff. I just kind of feel like there's an area of the public's perception of fossils in museums that could be radically shocked if they knew what was real and what wasn't. I know like that the most complete stegosaur skeleton came to the Natural History Museum, and I think it's still there.
Yeah, that's it is still there.
And on the plaque that shows you which bones are the real ones and which ones aren't. And I thought that was genius, because I'm like, that's great. That's what we want to see. And obviously, looking at the bones all looking unified as like they are, all the fossils, is lovely. But I always kind of feel like they should. I'm always looking at them, especially like the Gallimimus in the Natural History Museum. I'm like, which one is the real bone? Because like, I want to set my eyes on the actual fossil and go, I'm looking now at an actual fossil of a dinosaur. Whereas I always kind of feel like I'm just looking at reconstructions, and I'm like, oh, I want to see the real thing.
I get why they do the reconstructions, like a lot of the ones are reconstructions, because obviously a lot of the fossil material anyway is in the collection stores and is needed as well for people who are doing research. They may want to book it to be looked at and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just, I think really museums are quite underfunded, and it's a shame. Like I know when I went to the Isle of Wight a couple of years ago, I think another application's gone in. Like I heard a while ago, not that long ago, about a month ago, that an application has gone in to basically redevelop the area where Dinosaur Isle Museum is. I think they're wanting a consortium to take it over and actually develop it into like a proper dinosaur like park type operation thing, really, to really capitalize on that area, because obviously they've got Yavalan Beach outside and do fossil hunting out there. But yeah, when I volunteered there, I mean, the lab was just amazing, because at the time they'd got they had a full thing of ankylosaurid fossil that they had discovered and they were prepping at the time, which was cool to see. And then they had a few vertebrae of some sauropods and stuff. And then I was able to do a bit of prep work, which was quite nice. So they had this massive fossilized oyster, which I worked on for a few hours. And the thing is, like, I really enjoyed it. But the thing is, like, using a pneumatic drill, you've got to be a really special type of person to use it, because it really does hurt your hand. Like if you're just constantly doing it for hours on end. So I really do feel for the people at Bristol, because I know the Pliosaurus skeleton the fossil that I did some volunteering for a good many years ago. It took them 10 years to get it out the rock.
10 years?
Yeah, so it was found by Simon Carpenter, who's a local paleontologist in Somerset. And it's named after him. It's called Pliosaurus carpenteri. And it took them 10 years at Bristol. I don't know whether it was at Bristol where they actually took it out, but I think it was obviously moved to Bristol, and it took them 10 years to actually dig it out of the rock.
That's insane. 10 years.
And then they obviously had to prep it and everything. And then they prepped it and did an exhibition.
And then
it'll
be another 15 years before they release the information on it.
Well, thankfully, the information actually was released pretty soon after, because good. I was a volunteer for the exhibition that they did, and it was really nice because they actually had a full model of the pliosaur as well for people to actually interact with. And I mean, it was quite funny as well because it's hanging now in the Bristol Museum as you go in, and they've coloured it. It's really funny, the colorization, because they've coloured it like a penguin. So it's just like this massive pliosaur on the ceiling that is coloured like similar to a penguin. I get why they did it, because obviously they wanted to show how animals can, have be obviously lighter, on the bottom, and more darker on the top and stuff to blend in with this, the ocean and whatnot. And we don't know what it its colorization was. So I get that whole thing of being similar to an animal of today, regardless of that animal being a mammal and the other one being a marine reptile, but being a bird. But sorry. But yeah, it's just, I think it's that thing, isn't it, of a lot of paleontology as well as basing what we know on animals of today and comparing it with the birds, the crocodilians and the mammals. So and that's where the research does get interesting, because I'm looking at hadrosaur jaws and stuff, and the teeth of hadrosaurids were especially highly adapted for certain vegetation. I mean, looking at there's one paper by Erickson in I think it was 2011, where they were looking at sort of the tissue structure and comparing it with modern day bison, and basically Edmontosaurus jaws, like teeth, have basically the same type of tissue structure within the teeth as modern day bison. And that's really fascinating because it's showing the advancements in the jaw. I mean, this is the thing, they have like 500 teeth in just one part, just one jaw around us. So
don't you find it fascinating that like evolutionary traits the ones that just work, like evidence of evolution, basically I'm trying to get to is like a giraffe has a long neck and so does a brachiosaurus, so the teeth of this Edmontosaurus is the same as a bison, or like similar, not teeth, the tissue around the teeth is similar. It's like that evolutionary trait it was so successful it's appeared in two entirely different species.
Yeah, I mean, it's convergent evolution, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it's like looking at those adaptations.
Like
I mean,
this process works well this time and it'll work well again. It's almost this, in some weird way, it's almost like an idea is trying to break out through these animals.
I mean, like a lot of the papers I've looked at as well have been about like the ecological niche partitioning. So like we've got the hadrosaurs, for instance, were adapted for their own ecological sets of food, the vegetation that was available, but they were specifically adapted for certain types. And then you've got like the ceratopsians that were adapted for the other types of vegetation. So they're not competing. They're all living in the same ecosystem, but they're not competing at all. And that's really interesting. Clayton's just asked about knowing all of about Jack Warner sitting on a refusal of a T-Rex specimen. I haven't heard about that. It's a rumor, apparently.
I have a question for you. What do you think killed the dinosaurs?
Well, obviously the meteorite killed. Well, I mean,
do you think it was just the meteorite, though?
No, I mean, the meteorite would have vaporized anything within goodness knows 100 kilometers probably. But I mean, it was a variety of things. It would have been that probably, and then that would have set the volcanoes off, and then you've got the massive tsunamis that would have just inundated most of the world. I mean, there's a lot of things, and then obviously any remaining stragglers probably would have just wouldn't have been able to survive because of lack of oxygen and stuff, and the sun being blotted out and the ash and everything. So, it's just really, when you think about how horrible that extinction must have been, it is quite mind-blowing that it happened. I think that's the thing. I think that's what I find staggering when you look at it, and it's just like, wow, this just literally hit the earth with the explosive force of 100 nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Or is that 100 million nuclear bombs or whatever? It's just it's incredible to think about.
I think of it like the Earth is like someone's head, and that was like a gunshot just straight to it.
And I think this also is the evidence that the whole upper the atmosphere of the Earth and stuff like the outer sphere of the Earth changed due to the impact when it went through. It's just like, wow,
it would have rippled, right?
Rippled,
so
yeah.
Yeah. We're just a crust sitting on a load of lava.
But I mean, there's been mass extinctions before. The Permian mass extinction and stuff
what
like that.
What caused that?
I think that was to do with, from what I remember, was it the Deacon traps? Can't remember now.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but as I always hear about the meteorite at the end of the Cretaceous, but the other great extinctions, because there's 7 or 8 of them or something like that during the period of the dinosaurs. It's ridiculous, but you don't really hear that. They're not as for lack of a better term, they're not as sexy as the meteorite.
Yeah, they're not as talked about, are they?
No, it's I'm interested in those, what happened during those.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gone over this.
No worries, you don't have to answer. I'm just.
But I think it was to do with basically the anoxic oceans and it's sort of acidification really in the oceans. It was the Siberian trap, so the release of carbon dioxide from the eruptions of the Deacon traps in Siberia.
Right.
Siberian, I think that was India as well. But yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the extinction of the dinosaurs, it's obviously one thing leading to a number of other catastrophes. So basically the meteorite impact leading to so many different variables happening. I just think it's interesting as well, the animals that survive from that. Obviously some of the birds obviously survive from that, and mammals, and how it all came from that. It's just, it's amazing. But I think the thing is, when it comes to why dinosaurs, as someone who has faith, I think my biggest question is for me as someone who believes in God, why have the dinosaurs been here longer than us? What was that whole thing about? Why did God set that up for those dinosaurs to live that long?
Do you want to hear my take on that?
Yeah, I'll be interested. Yeah,
my take on that is that was God trying out free will.
That's an interesting view.
Because the dinosaurs were literally left to do whatever they wanted, and what they wanted to do was eat, mate, and fight, but then, like I said earlier, we don't know all what happened back then over that insanely vast amount of time that no human could ever really comprehend that length.
I know, yeah. And it's not just the dinosaurs.
Who's to say something didn't rise and fall in the time of the dinosaurs, like a great civilization that we don't know about, that is just gone. We just have no evidence of it.
Yeah, I mean, with the Cambrian and stuff, a lot of that is very early life as well. It's just stuff that's just even just like jellyfish and stuff like that. It's just really even cells and bacteria. It's just stuff that you don't really think about, but actually it's stuff that's alive and doesn't even have a brain, but somehow it's feeding, and it's just well, how's that happening? It's just it is just really strange.
So maybe the prehistoric era was God's jellyfish.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to end the stream there, I'm afraid. God's jellyfish, we'll leave it there. Because I'm well over time, and I'm
it's very late, isn't it?
Yeah, and but dude, I just want to say this, right? Everything that's happened this Jurassic June for me personally, there's been some amazing stuff. But I think you've just made my Jurassic June.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Yeah, it's been great coming on.
To actually talk dinosaurs, or just listen to someone who's passionate about it talk about it, is fascinating, and we're gonna have to do this again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's so much more. There's so much more like I want to go into, and questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be really great. Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was just like one of those things of hopping on because I saw you on the on live on my TV and thought, oh, I'll check out the Discord and see what's going on. And yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like these live streams I do, they're always meant to be just for. I'm just killing time because I'm painting, and
yeah,
so anything can go down. So that was fascinating. And my baby's now awake. If you just
I can hear that. Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna head off, guys. Thank you so much for coming along, everyone. Thank you, Big Shark, for the $2 tip. Thank you, Non-Fudgeable Tanastrophius, for the $2 tip. And thank you again, James and Tom and Lewis, for coming on, and Clayton and everyone in the chat, Matthew, Titan of Serpents, everyone asking questions. And as Non-Fungible Tanastrophius says, the party is always on the Pterodome 3000 Discord. Yes, there's always stuff going on in there. But yeah, I'll speak to you guys next week, I guess. All right, bye.
Bye.